A label on your panties digging into your most sensitive spots is definitely not the best feeling. Sure, you can cut it off, but often that just leaves even sharper corners that can be more annoying. But what if you've been cutting those labels wrong this whole time? Check it out. On the left, the label is sewn into the seam, while on the right, it's just hanging on by a couple of threads. Just snip those threads, and voila! It's like the label was never even there. Plus, with this little hack, you can always pick panties in the store that are guaranteed to be comfy. If you've traveled to Europe recently, you may have noticed how nasty the bottle caps have become. Yeah, according to the law, they now have to scratch your nose. They have to be attached right to the bottle. If these bottles annoy you too, try this. Once you open the bottle, rotate the cap 90 degrees and pull until one of the plastic connections breaks. And finally, turn the bottle until the cap touches your chin, not your nose, and drink. You've been using the colander in the wrong way all this time. This smart kitchen device has a hidden function. The traditional way of draining noodles involves dumping boiled noodles into a colander, right? But if your colander is about the same size as your pot, try this instead. Place the colander on top of the pot with the noodles, like a lid, and drain the water out. This method is faster and less messy, and it keeps your noodles in the pot where they belong. Toilet plungers and sink plungers are quite different, and the toilet version has a handy rubber flap called a flange that pops out from the cup. This flange fits snugly over toilet drains, giving you strong suction to tackle stubborn clogs. While a sink plunger won't help with toilet troubles, the toilet plunger can work on your sink or tub. Just make sure to keep that flap tucked inside the cup. And don't forget to give it a thorough clean with bleach before switching from toilet to sink use. You definitely don't want to mix things up. If you still work in an office, next time you print out something, make sure to check out this stapler built right into the printer. It can staple all the documents that fit in the slot at the same time. By the way, it's not something new. Such printers have been around since the 90s. Why buy a ruler and spend your hard-earned dollars if you can simply use a dollar bill to measure whatever you want? Only as long as this whatever is somewhere around 6 inches. A dollar bill is just about this size. Even though many people are sure that those tiny holes on the bottom left side of your iPhone are the speaker, they're actually a microphone. And speaking of iPhones, if you've got one of the latest models and your phone is out of juice but there's no socket to be found nearby, here's a nifty trick. Grab a double-ended charger cord and connect it to another iPhone 15. Boom! Your phone gets a little power boost. I bet you've noticed that the hook on a tape measure is a little loose. Well, that's intentional. The hook moves just enough to account for its own thickness, ensuring both inside and outside measurements are accurate. So if you ever thought it was broken, nope, it's just doing its job. As for the hole at the end, it's replacing the tape on the edge of a nail to get measurements from odd spots. The pockets on new suits are sewn shut to keep the jacket's shape during transportation and display. Of course, you can unpick them to use the pockets, but you need to be careful with what you put there. Anything heavy can easily distort the suit's shape. The important thing, though, is to remember to cut the threads holding the back vents together for better movement and comfort. Oh, and remember to cut those tacky stitches that fasten your new coat's vent, that flap on the back. Now, that sink squeegee thing actually hides a big secret. It can store water. Many sink squeegees have tiny holes that allow water to stay inside. But why would we need that water? Oh, you can release it as you squeegee, which will help you rinse the sink as you clean it. Here's a travel tip that will help you understand US highways. In the US, highways with even numbers run east-west, and those with odd numbers run north-south. If a highway number starts with an odd digit, it's a spur, which means it doesn't reconnect to the main highway. If it starts with an even digit, it's a loop around or through a city that eventually reconnects with the main highway. And finally, numbers divisible by 5 are major highways meant for cross-country travel. Your iPhone camera can also translate laundry symbols, identify plants, and even recognize some bird species. It's like having a mini encyclopedia in your pocket. Another trick: when using the markup feature while editing your photos, you might want to highlight a part of a picture. Put a circle around the needed area and keep your finger pressed down at the end of the stroke. Voila! Instead of a misshapen circle, you get a perfect one. It also works for squares, triangles, and stars. Barilla, probably the most famous pasta in the world, has teamed up with Spotify to create playlists that match the cooking time for different pasta shapes. Just start the playlist when you drop the pasta into boiling water. And when the music stops, your pasta is ready. Toasters have crumb trays at the bottom that you can and should clean regularly. Just slide it out and dump the crumbs. It's an easy way to keep your toaster clean and working well. You can use Google Maps to share your location in real time. Just tap your account icon, select Location Sharing, and choose how long to share. Your friends can track your progress and be ready when you arrive. You can also save your parking location by clicking the blue dot. Do you know that the knobs on some ovens have calibration screws on the back? You can adjust them to get more accurate temperature control. It'll definitely help you avoid overcooking or undercooking your meals. In non-prepaid gas stations in the US, try pressing Enter before swiping your debit or credit card. It'll take you to the prepaid screen, and you can enter the amount you need manually. If you're drinking outside on a windy day, place some coins in an empty cup, and then put the cup you're drinking from inside the first one. The weight of the coins will help you keep your drink from getting blown over. Simple, but effective. Once you've peeled your potato, you might spot some tiny divots, known as eyes, that still have some skin on them. Many peelers come with a handy scoop designed to tackle these little guys. Just take the scoop, dig in, and pop them out. Easy peasy. Your favorite potato recipe will be totally eye-free in no time. A cell phone's camera can help you to figure out whether your remote is working. The camera is sensitive to infrared, so you just need to turn it on and point the remote at the camera while pressing the remote's buttons. You'll see the LED flashing in response. If you spot nothing, something is definitely wrong with the remote. Bonus fact here: white vinegar isn't just for cooking. It's also the real laundry hero. If you add it to your laundry, it'll take out all the bad smells from your clothes. The amount to add can be anywhere from a splash to a cup during the wash. And don't worry about the vinegar smell. It washes away completely, leaving your clothes fresh. It's also great for removing hard water buildup.
Many shirts have 2 buttons on the cuffs, but only 1 buttonhole. So what is the second button for? Turns out you can use it whenever you're wearing a watch, so the cuff is looser. Most clothing items you buy come with a small bag of fabric or a button, or both. Buttons obviously can be used as a replacement if you lose the original ones. Pieces of fabric can be used to patch up a hole, but most importantly, it's a tester. You can use it to test different washing products on it and see what happens to the fabric. Some umbrellas have a tip at the top, and it turns out it's not just a pretty design. When going inside on a rainy day, you should just close your umbrella and tap the tip against the floor to drain the water faster and more effectively. Many backpacks have this diamond with 2 parallel cutout slits on its front, and it's there for your comfort. You can attach something to it, like a water bottle or shoes. It comes especially handy if you travel somewhere or go hiking, so you don't have to hold your stuff. Okay, the next thing is gear loops. And probably from the name of it, you already have an idea what they're there for. You can strap in some useful gear you need to have with you, like trekking poles or shovels. Some gear will need to be secured to do it. Drop the handle through the loop and rotate it upward. Then, secure it with the elastic hook at the top, and you're golden. On the back of many makeup and hygiene products, you can find this symbol with a marking like 6M, 12M, and 24M. This is the number of months this product can serve after you open it, and before you should throw it out. The two sides of a cotton pad are different because each of them has a particular purpose. A cotton pad has several layers to ensure that it's soft, strong, and can absorb liquids. The edge is stitched to hold it all together. The smooth side of a pad is for applying products like tonics and lotions, and the embossed side is best for cleansing and makeup removal. Also, any pack of cotton pads has those strings on the sides. They're there so you can hang the package somewhere. Then, you can open the package at the bottom where the perforated line is and take them out. Did you know that there is an efficient way to pull a thread from yarn? When you pull from the outside, the yarn rolls away, so you need to hold it. However, if you pull it from the center, it will stay together. We're all familiar with staplers, but I bet you don't know all its secrets. Most staplers have a compartment to store spare staples, which can be located either on top or at the bottom. Also, surprise! This metal plate you press staples against can be turned around. This way, the device will be able to staple your documents by turning the metal ends outwards. No need to wonder whether you need to get a smaller or bigger container. Turns out, plastic food containers have volume measurements on their bottoms, indicating how much food they can fit. Ceiling fans come with a small switch on the inside of the blade. You might not have noticed it because it's not in plain sight, so check yours out. This switch allows you to change the direction of rotation. Now, why would you want to do that? The blades of a fan push the air in different directions, depending on the way they rotate. In the summer, you need the air to be pushed down to create the effect of a breeze. In the winter, the direction should be changed so that the air is pushed towards the ceiling. It then heats up before going down the walls. Have you noticed that the gas tank sign on cars' dashboards has a little arrow next to it? Well, this arrow has a purpose. It points at the side of the car where the gas tank is located. It's very useful for forgetful people who constantly wonder where their gas tank is, and also for those who drive rentals once in a while. The answer is right in front of your eyes. If you can't find the arrow on your panel, then the fuel hose on the icon indicates the side instead. All car tires have 12-digit numbers printed on them, and they're actually important codes for car owners if they want to get the right tire. The first letter identifies the type of tire. P stands for a tire for light passenger cars, and LT is for heavy vehicles. Then, the following numbers stand for the width of the tire, its radial, and its diameter. Measuring tapes have that metal stud on the end, which you can use to attach the tape to the surface you measure. This way, you don't need to hold it yourself. But there's also a small slot, which can be used to hang the tape on a nail, again to free your hands and keep measuring. The bottom of the end of the tape has a ridged edge. It will help you make a mark if you don't have a marking tool with you. On the tape, there are black diamonds that are placed every 19.2 inches. They're useful for construction workers when spacing engineering joists. They can also be useful for you if you want to hang something heavy, for example. The diamond will mark the exact center of a wooden joist. Those are placed 16 inches apart from one another. There, you can drill something to that center to make sure whatever you hang is safely attached to the joist instead of the unreliable thin wall. Pictures will survive, but it's particularly important if you're hanging something heavy. Did you know that batteries have an expiration date? Yes, it's printed right on their label, but I've never noticed it before. The expiration date doesn't mean you can't use it after that. It's more like a recommended usage period, after which the manufacturer can't guarantee full battery life due to deteriorated components. These little feet keyboards have are actually a standard. The height of a keyboard should be adjustable, allowing the angle between 0 degrees and 15 degrees. The reason to fold the feet out is for you to see the keys better, in case you don't type blindly. A little problem that comes with it is that, in this case, your wrists are bent. And it's not good to keep them in this position for a long time. Pans have those holes on the ends of their handles. They're not just there for you to hang them. You can also place your cooking spoon in there. It'll hang right above the pan, and the sauce will not spill around. Make sure to tap off the sauce or food beforehand, though, so that it doesn't go down the spoon's handle. Stickers with numbers you can find on fruits can tell you some information on how the food was grown. A 4-digit code that starts with a 4 means that the fruit was grown conventionally, meaning it contains chemicals and pesticides. So your best choice should be a fruit with a 5-digit number. And if you see the number 9, it indicates that the fruit is certified organic. On the bottom of plastic bottles, you can often notice a mark of a triangle with a number engraved in the middle. This number specifies the type of plastic that was used to produce the bottle. These codes help people and local recycling centers to sort returns. Products that were made of plastic of types 1 and 2 are the easiest ones to recycle. Plastics of types 3 through 7 are tougher to recycle.
The cylinder on the end of a cable is sitting there, useless as it might seem. In fact, this is a ferrite bead that assists with many electrical wires to reduce electromagnetic interference. Electrical wires act like unintentional antennas, broadcasting the EMI. There's a reason why the spinning wheel inside their microwave is circular. A circular object will evenly distribute the heat as opposed to a rectangular and square one. When you place containers of these shapes inside, the energy is focused on the corners rather than spread evenly like in a round container. The temperature gauge on a toaster is commonly used to determine how crisp you like your toast, but the other, more specific use for the gauge was for the different types of bread. White and sweet types of bread heat up much faster as opposed to heavier brown and rye ones. The older bread is, the more time it will need in a toaster to ensure the golden brown result you're looking for. Most ovens give you the option of leaving the door ajar when broiling a dish inside. You probably think the goal here is to help cool down the oven after use. In reality, its purpose is to focus on cooking the top of the dish and to ensure a crusty layer. Controlling the buildup of heat and steam by releasing it through the slightly ajar door gives you the desired result without cooking the entire dish to a crispy end. You probably have noticed that your dishwasher has specific areas for different types of cutleries and dishware. But all the dishware pieces should be facing towards the center and not all in one direction. What types of foods were on the plates will also determine where they should be located in the racks. As the middle of the machine gets the strongest spray, carb-based stains from tomatoes and potatoes should be placed there. The detergent is more focused on the outside during the clean, creating a waterfall-like cleanse. That's why protein-based stains, like from eggs for example, should be stacked there. Ceiling fans push cool air down on a hot day, circulating the room. But they can serve you during the winter just as effectively if you flick that switch on the side or use the pulley. So if you want to save some money on heating and try to quickly warm up your room on a cold day, turn the fan on. It will push the air up and spread the warm air around, more effectively warming the room up. Do you still use sticky notes instead of those fancy new apps on all possible gadgets? Welcome to the club. Regardless of what you use them for, they can annoyingly curl up. If you've had this issue, it's because you've peeled them from the bottom upwards. Doing it this way causes the curling. Peeling them from the side will ensure they remain flat, ready to remind you of your daily tasks. Did you know that can openers weren't invented until 50 years after preservation cans had been readily available? So how would it be possible to open a can? There are a couple of alternative methods just in case you've misplaced your trusty opener.
All you need is a metal spoon. Set the can down on the counter. Hold onto it firmly and grasp the head of the spoon tightly. Apply pressure and vigorously rub the edge of the can's top over a small area. It takes time, but as you continuously rub, a small indentation soon opens a hole. Once the hole is wide enough for the spoon's tip, pry the lid upwards and keep going along the edges until you can finally access the hard-earned meal within. Most toilets rely on water pressure and gravity to function, so a power outage will not affect them. But if yours does need electricity to function, you must be worried about using it when the power is out. The good news is the power is only used to fill the toilet and not to flush it. As the flushing mechanism will still work, open the toilet tank and pour in a couple of gallons, and you're free to flush away whatever you need to. Blockages in shower drains occur over a long period of time. It's inevitable. We lose 50 to 100 hairs a day, and many of them will endeavor to reside within our shower drains. Hair only forms the foundations of the blockage, and this attracts the buildup of various other things. A great life hack is to use your vacuum cleaner and put the nozzle in the hole once removing the plug. Apply a wet cloth around the nozzle, ensuring air cannot escape. The vacuum will suck up the blockages a lot easier. This will help avoid any extra cost from plumbers, as they themselves use this technique. To make your candles last longer, trim their wicks multiple times and keep them as far away from water and moist as possible. It will guarantee that your candle's wax stays firm and steady and continues to burn slower for a longer period of time. The empty space between the panes of the oven door is there for a reason. You can stick a brush in there to clean the oven door glass. It's easy to access this space through the bottom of the door, open the lower shelf, then push the brush through the hole. While you're parking in a garage, you might find it difficult to determine how close to it you need to be. Not all cars have sensors ensuring you keep the right distance before the bumper makes an indentation on the wall. Applying a rope with a tennis ball from the ceiling at the right distance will help you learn the best distance to park from the wall. We've all been told to loosen a lock with WD-40 or lubricant. Yes, we all know we should have these around the house. But in case you don't, a great alternative is drawing with a gray lead pencil along the edges of the key and then putting it into the lock. Continue doing this until the keyhole has been adequately lubricated and the key functions smoothly. Pliers are prone to damage when you use them to adjust faucets and shower heads and are also difficult to grip. Take a couple of pieces from the end of an old garden hose and attach them to the jaws of the pliers. You'll find a huge improvement with grip and will avoid wear and tear. You can find a good use for discarded rubber for different things around the house. When fed up with tightening or loosening with a screwdriver, try using a simple rubber band. Place part of it into the screw grip and the screwdriver will have far greater traction. Moving cement blocks isn't safe for your lower back. Even with a wheelbarrow, it can be a risky process to place the cement onto the ground without causing damage. 3 simple cylinder pipes can make a world of difference, regardless of the size of the block. Try lifting the edge onto the first pipe with a pry bar, then pushing and maneuvering as you gradually direct the 3 pipes towards the desired location. Just make sure you're not doing this on a slope. That first strike on a nail can be a great success or will result in a throbbing thumb. A bobby pin is perfectly shaped to hold a nail in place, allowing for your hand to be clear out of harm's way and for you to strike the nail without fear. Use a crayon instead of a pen or pencil while working with a wet saw to ensure the markings are not removed. They will also be easier to see under the murky water. Checking the drains on the roof and determining when they need to be cleaned can take a lot of time. Using duct tape, attach a mirror on the end of a long broom and review whether the drains need to be cleaned. To further assist with your balance as you check on the gutters, attach a pair of old trainers to the end of the ladder. The spread of the shoe and its grip will ensure a further level of safety. Liquid caulk normally comes in huge tubes, so you can never use it all at once. The hardened tips of liquid caulk create blockages. Grab a used cork and drill through it to make a perfect lid, concealing the liquid caulk. Now it's ready to be used again with no blockages.
Look up! See your ceiling fan? Okay, if you don't have a ceiling fan, just go with it and imagine you do. Well, it has a hidden feature that you probably don't know. It might be a switch on the fan itself or a button on the remote, but most fans have the ability to change directions. And there's a reason you really want it to. In winter, you want it to spin clockwise, which pushes all the hot air from the ceiling down. In the summer, you want to spin it counterclockwise to pull the cool air that pulls around the floor up to circulate around the room. This next one's a huge deal. Your microwave probably has a silent mode. Yeah, that's right. All your 3 a.m. burritos that you heated up with your finger hovering over the stop button to hit it 1 second before the timer went off could have actually been a lot less stressful. It depends on the mode, but by either pressing or holding the 0 or 1 button, you should be able to activate the silent mode. Now you can microwave to your heart's content anytime. Those springy door stops at your baseboards that make the boing sound aren't just door stops. They're also door holders. By holding them down and opening the door over them, the spring latches onto the bottom of the door and locks it open. Yeah, we all missed that one. Did you know you've probably been putting on your running shoes wrong? See, there's a small hole at the top where the laces end that's called a heel lock. Can you guess what it does? Yeah, it locks your heels. That way, they don't slip around and give you a blister or slide your sock down, which is just the worst feeling, isn't it? So what you're supposed to do is loop each lace into its heel lock hole, which creates a small loop. The opposite lace then goes through that loop. Tie your laces tight just like you normally would, and whoa, your heels are secure. Speaking of shoelaces, if you accidentally knot them so well that even you, with your incredible muscles, can't undo them, there's a common baking ingredient that has a hidden feature that can help. Yep, you heard me right, a baking ingredient. Cornstarch can make your gravy thicker, or it can untie stuck knots. It's so talented! Just sprinkle it on any knot, coating it completely, and it will slide free easily. It works on necklaces, ropes, yarn, etc. It doesn't work on knots in your muscles, though, unfortunately. But hey, you can always give it a try. Uh-oh, did you put on your friend's ring without thinking how much smaller their hands are than yours? And now it's stuck. Just grab a bottle of Windex, my friend. Yup, Windex cleans your windows, of course, but it also has a neat little secret talent at removing stuck rings. A little spritz, and that bling will slide right off. Cool, huh? Why has no one ever taught us that? Let's say you're writing something in pencil, like an exam, but whoops, you forgot your eraser. Strangely, you didn't forget to bring your bread to the test. So you've got that, which is all you need to clear up that mistaken answer you just wrote down. Roll the bread up tightly until it has a texture best described as, well, eraser-like. Then go at it, erasing like you normally would. Why have the bread makers been hiding this from us? This could have been useful in so many situations when I brought bread to my school exams. If you wear leather jackets, first off, you're cool. Second off, you're probably missing out on a hidden feature that's not so hidden and is actually in plain sight. The straps on the top of the shoulders of your jacket aren't just for decoration. If you unbutton them while you slide on the straps of your bag, you can clip them shut again over your bag straps, locking them in place. No matter how many jumping jacks or cartwheels or breakdancing headspins you do, your bag is not going anywhere. When you need to wrap up some leftovers, tin foil is your friend. But it also has a place in the laundry room because of this secret use. Imagine you run out of dryer sheets. Your clothes come out of the dryer full of so much static that they make your hair stand up straight like a cartoon evil scientist's. Here's what you need to do. Crush up 2 sheets of tin foil into tight balls. Throw those clothes back in the dryer with the balls and give them another round. They'll come out static-free. After you make hard-boiled eggs, they're in hot water. Some would say boiling hot. So how do you get them out easily without reaching in? A whisk. Push it over the egg and it will pop into the wire cradle. Now you can pull it right out with ease and comfort. The colors of the clips on bread bags actually convey a secret meaning. They're showing you the day of the week that the loaf was packaged. Blue means Monday, brown means Tuesday, and white means Friday. Yeah, it's not just random colors. And most bread brands follow the same system because there's one company that supplies a lot of these clips. So when picking out the perfect loaf, you can gauge the freshness by the color.
Okay, I know it's kind of cold to the touch, especially on a freezing winter's day, but did you know that brass doorknobs actually serve a purpose apart from looking classy and shiny? Since it's a copper alloy, brass has antimicrobial properties. That means it can help get rid of harmful germs and bacteria, sometimes in up to 2 hours. In high-traffic areas, that's all the more useful, but since brass is much costlier than other metals like nickel and steel, you barely see these types of doorknobs anymore nowadays. Speaking of lovely multi-purpose items, most screwdrivers have a tiny little secret of their own. They can sometimes be slid through a wrench so that they can be used to create more torque when twisting, not to mention the uses when it comes to bolts in hard-to-reach places. There's a reason why buttons on women's shirts are for the left-handed, and it has nothing to do with fashion. This practice dates back to the times when chambermaids were helping ladies dress themselves, and it was easier for them to perform their job with this orientation. Having the buttons placed as such indicated a sign of wealth, so it's easy to imagine why the practice carried on, even though most people dress themselves nowadays. Next time you receive a package in your mail, take a look at your box cutter. If it features some diagonal lines on the blade, you're in for a little design perk. Turns out that these are blades that snap off. Continuously cutting cardboard can dull the sharp edge of the blade. To help prevent the need to buy a brand new box cutter, the top segment along the next line can be broken off to reach a new sharp edge. To do this, check out the small hole at the base of the tool, sometimes called the blade snapper. The people that first came up with this brilliant invention were engineers inspired by the way chocolate bars are segmented. Hold on a minute, don't throw away the cardboard package just yet. Most likely, you'll have some silica gel packets somewhere at the bottom of the box. Since this gel is basically a drawing tool, it gathers up the moisture out of its environment, so you can store these packets for further occasions. Whether you'll need to dry out your phone or some other electrical object, you can place them in a container next to the silica gel to reduce the damage. You don't have to be a mechanic to know when a standard car tire needs replacing, since they come equipped with a neat indicator. Take a closer look, and you'll see that treads within the tire are a bunch of rubber notches. When the treads are evened out with the perpendicular bars, it's a sign you need to book an appointment with your local car service, since most likely the tires have lost most of their traction and may not be safe for driving any longer. The upper corners of a car windshield feature textured black dots melted into the glass edges. This neat add-on isn't there for design purposes. It's called frit glazing, which means that a special type of ceramic paint is added to the window for protecting its sealant from UV rays. It also conceals and creates a coarser surface for the adhesive used to set the window in place. Whenever you're up for a drive, check out if there's a small tab under your car's rearview mirror. Bet you didn't know it's there to help switch the mirror from daytime to nighttime views. It uses a prismatic glass technology to blur the reflection and reduce the glare of headlights behind you in traffic. People came up with these manually tilted mirrors in the 1930s, but they became standard somewhere in the 1970s. While you're in the car, check out the headrests, as you most likely don't know that they carry a little disguised purpose. Of course, they're adjustable to accommodate passengers of any height so that they get the proper support for their heads and necks. The hidden feature is that they are detachable and come with two very solid metal bars. Should you ever find yourself stuck in a car and need to make a fast getaway, these bars come in handy to crack out the car windows. So you're out for a drive and you're suddenly out of gas. What I'm about to describe sounds more like a meme than an actual situation bound to happen. But what if you're in such a hurry that you accidentally drive off with the gas nozzle still in the tank? Well, the nozzles have been designed to prevent any hazards from happening, rest assured. They feature a breakaway device that will allow the hose to separate when taken out with enough force.
Initially designed in the early 20th century to be worn exclusively by basketball players, sneakers soon became one of those fashion fundamentals similar to jeans and leather jackets. If you take a closer look at them, you'll see they have 2 extra holes on the side, similar to the shoelace holes. They're manufactured as such not only to provide extra ventilation, but to allow people to get extra creative with their laces when wearing the shoes. Admit it, you've always thought that chopsticks are merged at the end for the sole purpose of keeping them together until you're ready to dig into your meal. That may or may not be the whole truth. Under a more detailed inspection, the wooden tools feature a square-shaped end. Chopsticks manufactured like this date back to an old Japanese traditional design, which can help with breaking the ends easily. The separated end can then be used as a resting block for the chopsticks to keep it more sanitized in hopes it can be used again, since they won't be touching the table or any other surface. Women's bikes have a special design which, surprisingly, has a historical and fashionable purpose. The lower frame is for the most part meant to make up for the generally shorter height of ladies, compared to that of the average gentleman. While that is the case for handlebars and saddles, the overall frame is lower for an additional purpose. Way back when women wore long skirts and dresses all day, every day they needed to make sure their outfits wouldn't get caught in the frame. That's how we came up with a lower-framed bicycle, perfectly made for women and their needs at the time. The fact that toothpastes are multicolored is not just a nice perk to make dental hygiene more fun. There's a secret meaning related to each of the colors, which dates back to the 1970s. In those days, people grew more and more interested in their oral health care, and as such, they were looking for products which could do more than merely clean their teeth. One company was the pioneer in that regard, adding mouthwash to its toothpaste, meaning the blue strip. They later added on the red strip, meant to feature ingredients which helped with gum care. Speaking of toothpaste, check the cap next time you open a new tube. You may be in for a little surprise. There's a pointed cone shape inside the cap, so you can puncture the seal of the toothpaste without cutting yourself or ruining your manicure. Not to mention, it's more hygienic since you won't be able to transfer germs or other bacteria into the product itself. On the subject of bathroom countertop items, toothbrushes come with a neat add-on hidden in the bristle patterns. Apart from making the toothbrush look cooler, they also do come with a practical purpose. Most toothbrushes come with a pattern of blue bristles intertwined with white ones. The blue dye is meant to fade out, signaling the time when you need to replace your toothbrush. Dentists say that toothbrushes should be replaced every 3 to 4 months, but it does serve as a great reminder in case you forget. Still love playing with Lego? Don't judge. Hey, it's a great hobby for all ages. Notice there's a hole on top of the Lego heads? Behold, you're looking at a safety feature that the people at Lego designed to prevent choking hazards. The most dangerous issue should a person swallow any of these pieces is the blocking of the airways. Designing a hole inside the Lego head helps the air to flow freely through the piece until it can be removed safely. We're now used to all sorts of modern light bulbs, some tubular, some shaped like diamonds, and some even twisted altogether. Historically, light bulbs were round and the initial shape served a purpose in itself. It was mainly connected to the fact that glass bulbs were hand-blown, which gave them the round shape to begin with. The hidden practical reason was that the light bulb filament needed to be at the same distance from every surface of the glass sphere. The easiest way to achieve this was to make the glass in the shape of a globe.
Various types of cheese have holes for a reason. For example, Swiss cheese is made with special bacteria that produce carbon dioxide. As the CO2 is emitted, it blows like bubblegum, leaving tiny craters, also known as cheese eyes. Then the cheese is cooled down, but the holes stay in place. Over 40 billion Oreos are made every single year. It's the world's most popular manufactured cookie. The geometric design stamped onto these cookies has the Nabisco logo, the symbol of European quality, surrounding the word Oreo. William Tournier created the chocolate cookie design we see today back in 1952. If you use reusable bottles, you probably know that sometimes they smell. Even if you only use it for regular water, it still smells. But it's not the water that smells, it's the microorganisms in it. If you drink water from a bottle, the particles of your saliva and sweat stay in there. Those bacteria start to build up in the bottle, causing the smell. So, if you choose reusable bottles, make sure to wash them every day to prevent those bacteria from building up. After washing, let it dry completely before using it again. Not only are the jeans blue, but the police officers' uniforms as well. The first official police officers appeared in the 19th century in London. They were given a blue uniform to contrast with the red and white uniform that military workers had already been wearing. 2 decades afterward, the police force was adopted in the USA, and they followed the patterns. The uniform is still blue nowadays because it proved to be a good color. It's not that visible in dark hours, and police officers can observe things and people staying unnoticed. Also, stains aren't that visible on dark material. And, well, everyone knows that police officers wear blue and they're recognized it. So, why change that? Baby carrots are tiny and, unlike regular carrots, wet, not unlike baby humans. Baby carrots aren't some special sort of carrot. They're actually made of regular carrots by cutting off the skin and outer layers and then polishing them to look that pretty. The problem is they can't retain moisture. A regular carrot retains some water inside because of the layers that lock it in. Once they're chopped out, baby carrots can dry out easily. So they usually sell them in bags with some water inside. Jeans have metal rivets, and they're there from the very beginning. Jacob Davis, the man who made the first pair of jeans, added copper rivets to spots where pants are more likely to rip, flies and pockets, to make them stronger. Today, they have more of a decorative purpose, since they are distinctive and traditional for jeans. Another special thing about jeans is those tiny pockets they have that seemingly serve no purpose. Well, maybe it's true now, but years ago, when many cowboys were wearing jeans, the pocket was made specifically to keep a pocket watch there. Also, back then, a pair of jeans had just 4 pockets. That tiny pocket, the watch pocket, 2 big pockets in front, and just 1 pocket in the back. Car headrests are all about comfort, and detachable headrests are all about safety. If you pull the headrest out, you'll see 2 sturdy metal bars. If you ever get locked or trapped in a car, you can use the bars to smash the window and get out. Those little red spots you sometimes see after you crack an egg are nothing to be worried about. Tiny blood spots can be caused by a small rupture in a blood vessel of a hen as it was laying the egg. Eggs with these blood spots are safe to eat, but that spot can be removed if you want. It won't affect the taste of the egg. Oh, that's comforting. Hidden within the Toblerone logo of the mountain is the image of a bear standing on its hind legs, about to eat that yodeler over there. No, not really. This is because bears are a big part of Bern, one of the biggest cities in Switzerland, where the founder created the triangular chocolate treat. Toblerone is also a play on the founder's family name, Tobler, and the Italian word Torrone for honey and almond nougat. The space below a cup of noodles is there to protect the noodles during transport. This technique is called a middle suspension. Not only are they protected better in their styrofoam cup, but it also helps those noodles soften more evenly and quickly. Even though you might have noticed that the hole on the barrel of ballpoint pens has no purpose, it does. It's called a venting system, which helps the ink flow more smoothly. This way, an even amount of air pressure is created inside and outside the pen, allowing the ink to flow into the point easily. It's not an accident that soy sauce bottles have 2 spouts. The sauce is liquid, and it flows out of the bottle pretty quickly once you turn it over. Most Asian food lovers will admit they've spilled it at least once in a lifetime. That's why nowadays, restaurants prefer serving soy sauce in special bottles that have 2 spouts. This design allows you to control when and how much sauce will come out. Just put your finger on one spout while you pour the sauce through another. If you press your finger tightly to the spout, the sauce will stop flowing, and if you remove your finger, it will flow again. And please do not remove your finger in a restaurant. It will freak everybody out. You've probably noticed that train and bus seats are covered in fabrics with weird patterns. Any idea why? They use these patterns to cover any germs and stains on the seat. Oh boy. The brighter the color and the more patterned it is, the harder it will be for a passenger to notice any stains and get grossed out. Also, the patterns are usually so ugly that no one even wants to look at them for long enough to spot any stains. So yeah, the pattern is there to make you look away, and if you look, to make it less noticeable. No bus will ever have plain white seats, that's a guarantee. The middle tab on soda cans can be flipped around. You can slip a straw in place so you don't have to hold it up to your mouth. This Stay On tab replaced the pull ring tab created in the early 60s. You remember those, don't you? Those could be quite sharp and easily discarded where they could be a menace for others. Now you can pop your straw straight into one. Also means you can produce some bubbles and make a mess like a 3-year-old. Sometimes, when you purchase an article of clothing, you receive a plastic baggie with an extra button and a swatch of fabric. While the fabric is clearly used to patch holes, it can also be used to test the effects of various cleaners on certain surfaces. It's handy, too, to test wash cycles before using them to wash the whole garment. Escalators have those fluffy black brushes for a similar reason that some have yellow lines on their steps, to try and deter people from getting too close to dangerous places. People don't always take notice, and sometimes clothing can drape close to the point where the step meets the edge or skirt. The brush is a little barrier to help prevent this from happening. They can also catch bits of fluff and prevent other small things from falling down into the gaps. Those takeaway containers most associated with Chinese restaurants are designed to not only carry your food home, but to store it in the fridge. They double as a plate, as you can eat straight out of them and don't have to worry about dirty dishes. Yay! They were actually patented way back in 1894 to transport freshly shucked oysters and were known as oyster pails. They were later adapted to use as leak-proof containers for food. Ever wondered why coins have those little ridges along the edge? It's a leftover from earlier times when they were worth more. Counterfeiters could easily file the edges off to sell as gold or silver coins to make some profit. The ridges were created so it was much easier to tell which of the coins had been altered. It's not needed today, but the coins still have that altered style. All crackers and some cookies have holes to make sure the final product has the right texture. These teeny tiny holes allow steam to escape, so your crackers and cookies won't snap. If it weren't for these holes, also known as dockers, steam would build up inside the treat, and the final result might have been scrumptious, but it would have been rather oddly shaped. Dogs like to walk in circles before snoozing because they inherited this behavior pattern from their ancestors. There were no special doggy beds back then, so most pooches would have to push down tall grass to make a sort of snoozing spot. Plus, as a bonus, those movements scared off all the critters lurking in the vegetation. Donuts are ring-shaped for a similar reason. If they hadn't had holes right in the center, the dough there would have always been undercooked. By the way, they're often associated with the police because back in the 1950s, donut shops were among the only places open late. They were a perfect place for police officers to grab something to eat and even deal with some paperwork during the night shift. Your jeans are blue on the outside and white on the inside because of a smart way to weave the fabric. The warp thread is dyed, while the weft thread has no color. It's just white. This way, manufacturers reduce the amount of dye needed for each piece of clothing. And they're still dyeing to make the jeans.
For all those days when you barely have time for breakfast, there's an easy way to enjoy a nice and fast meal. And it will also save you the hassle of doing the dishes afterwards. I'm talking about instant oatmeal packets. Some manufacturers have added this neat design to the oatmeal. The packet is lined with plastic, so you can directly pour water or milk straight into it. This way, you won't have to use a bowl anymore. You place the liquid in and shake. Some packaging also has a demarcation line to show how much liquid should go inside the pack for that quantity. Next time you have to switch apartments, you won't have to worry about carrying that heavy box of books. These days, most moving boxes are specially designed for easy transportation with built-in handles.
Well, they're not actually handled. I'll admit, they're basically just holes inside the cardboard box, on the sides. But if you slip your hands in, you'll surely notice the boxes become way easier to carry than picking them up altogether. With the onset of so many online reading options like ebooks or even apps on your phone that allow you to download novels, you've most likely forgotten about your local library. And hey, I'm not blaming you. But libraries these days offer a lot more services than you're used to, apart from free books and audiobook rental. Some of them have a variety of evening classes or can provide access to online courses. You may even be able to join a book club, which is a great way to meet new people, and you're guaranteed to get out of that reading slump you've been stuck in. I enjoy picking up dinner on my way home from my favorite takeout place, just as you do. But if the food containers are not completely sealed shut, the ride back can prove itself quite the culinary experience, if you know what I mean. Especially for the carpets in your car. Some cars have a curry hook near the center console, next to the driver's seat. It has been popular for 20 years and started as a handbag holder or a hook for a small shopping bag. But it quickly became the perfect way to store takeaway food and avoid spilling. I'm almost sure there's an umbrella somewhere in your car, but if I were to ask you where you're storing it, you'd most likely say the trunk, of course. But is that really the best place to keep it? Wouldn't you want to have an umbrella at hand, right when you get out of the car? Some car companies have thought about that, and don't worry, they don't come with a built-in butler to help you get out of the car all dry. Some specific models have a designated place in the driver's door panel that perfectly fits an umbrella. You have to admit, it's an important thing to consider when researching your next car, more so if you live in a rainy location. Whenever I plan to travel to a new location, I like to have access to the local maps on my phone at any given time. Since you can't always foresee the quality or price of the internet in foreign countries, be sure to download the maps on your phone when connected to Wi-Fi. This way, you'll have easy access to all the must-see locations on your next city break, even if you run out of mobile data. The same goes for Google Translate. The mobile app comes with the option of downloading a language, so you'll be able to use it offline. Another nice tip if you're more of the traveler type: if you own an iPhone, text an airline code and flight number to yourself. You'll then notice it will show up with an underline. When clicking on it, you'll be able to pull up flight data, like the gate the flight leaves from, or if the flight is on schedule. Flashlights are those objects that we tend to reach out for in an emergency, like whenever there's a power break or when you need to take a quick trip in the attic for an old photo album or something. If you're ever in a sticky situation and the flashlight runs out of battery, have a look at its base under the battery spring. Some models come with a spare bulb hidden in there. If you're the type of person that likes to wake up early in the morning, but the rest of the people in your house enjoy sleeping in, there's a way you can still use your microwave to prepare breakfast without waking everyone up. It turns out, some of them come with a built-in mute function that gets rid of all the annoying rings and beeps. In the many times I've found myself driving on local roadways, I've noticed some apparently random blue reflectors here and there. Since I had no idea what they were, I did some research and found out they actually pinpoint the locations of fire hydrants. They're generally offset from the center line on either side, and the offset side tells if the hydrant is on the left or right side of the road to assist firefighters on their missions better. Next time you get out of the car and forget to close all the windows, you won't have to get back in there. Just try this. Hold the keys on the door of your car pressed, and it should lock all the doors and shut all the windows. The same goes with opening all the doors. Just double-click the button. Most car models should come with this added option, but most people just forget or have no idea that they can do that. Whenever you're in that awkward position of messing up a voicemail, do you know there's a way you can delete or re-record the message, saving you the unnecessary embarrassment? Stay online after recording the message and dial either pound, $, or star, asterisk, to access the voicemail menu. Further instructions should be provided so you can decide what to do with the recording. Bagels are becoming more and more famous these days on options for breakfast or snacks because they're so tasty and so versatile. The problem is, I only want my bagel toasted on one side. Thankfully, some toasters come with a bagel setting, which ensures the pastry is toasted on either one of the two sides. Ever wondered why manhole covers only come in that round shape? It turns out that this is the only shape that cannot fall through the hole altogether. Any other shape, especially shapes with corners, could be rotated so that the lid could fall through. Here's a neat one if you enjoy a little massage whenever you're taking a shower. On most of the shower heads available these days, there should be a small metal filter in the back beneath the shower head once you unscrew it. If you give this piece a rough cleaning once in a while, you'll find the water pressure to be greatly improved. You may be able to save that wool sweater you've accidentally thrown in the washer and has shrunken down 3 sizes. Just go in the shower and grab a bottle of hair conditioner. Add it to some cold water in a tub and make a solution, and let the garment sit there for at least a couple of hours. The conditioner should help relax the wool fibers and loosen them back up, not to mention how nice it should smell afterwards. You might need to do a bit of research before you can safely use this trick. But just so that you know, there are some modern laptops with drainage channels. You heard that right. Precisely when you accidentally spilled coffee on it, they're designed to ensure any liquid that gets on the keyboard safely drains out at the bottom without damaging the electrical parts. Just make sure to not shake the laptop after you've spilled the liquid so that the system can do its job correctly.
It's your birthday party. You made a wish and blew out the candles. It's time to cut this delicious round cake. Your guests can't wait to taste it. Wait a minute. Are you sure you actually know how to cut it? Normally, people prefer making V-shaped slices by default. Although this method is very popular, it's far from perfect. Some guests won't get enough frosting, while others will get too much. And besides, cakes are pretty fragile, so crumbs can fall all over the place. This alternative method went viral because of its incredible practicality. All you need to do is press a large cutting board against the cake very gently. Then slice the cake across horizontally and move the long piece onto the cutting board. Now you can cut one big slice into several smaller slices for the guests. This will give them a chance to order exactly as much or as little dessert as they really want. Wait, who wants just a little dessert? You will also prevent the leftover cake from drying out too soon. And if someone asks for more, just keep repeating the cutting board trick as many times as you need to. If the number of guests at your party doesn't match the small size of your cake, there's an easy tip to make sure everyone's served. Cut the cake into small cubes, put them into paper baking cups, and pierce the slices with a toothpick to make sure the layers don't fall apart. You can serve this cake canapé on a tray. When you don't have a knife at hand to cut a cake, dental floss will help you out. If you manage to do the work gently, the floss will glide through your cake with ease and keep the icing decoration in perfect order. This method is also very handy when you want to cut pie or cake layers horizontally. Of course, it's better to use dental floss with a neutral flavor if you don't want to feel the minty frost in your dessert. You're hanging some pictures or framed diplomas on a wall. I have several. But they refuse to hang straight. If you're using a wire and only one nail, it's very likely that the picture will get crooked. So the better solution is to use 2 nails. They will help the artwork stay there straight. Also, make sure that the wire is only as long as it needs to be. Otherwise, the excess slack will make the picture stagger on the wall. And finally, you can use these small clear sticky tabs. Stick them on the bottom corner of either side of your framed pictures and prevent them from slipping. Now, even the highest quality markers stop working sooner or later, but that's not a reason to say goodbye to them. Glue the markers around the outer edge of a regular flower pot. Then spray this construction with gold paint. You'll get a glamorous vase that will spice up your interior. To complete this project, you can use not only a pot, but any other cylindrical vase or tin cans that match the size of your markers. Have you ever spilled your hot drink down on your clothes as you were walking from the cafeteria to your desk? Probably yes. Most people wrap their hands around the mug or use a handle. But none of these methods is perfect because they leave room for burns. Recent studies have revealed the best way to hold a coffee mug to prevent any spillage, and I bet you don't use it on a daily basis. Put your hands in a claw-like shape and grip your mug from above with your fingers. This will protect you from burning your palm and keeping your outfit tidy. And besides, it looks kind of elegant. Now, in case you didn't know, there are little tabs on the sides of your foil container. You're supposed to push those in. Now, when you pull the foil out, it's going to glide effortlessly, and the foil tube will be fixed in the container. Shoe stores usually sell their items with small plastic hangers. Don't rush to throw away this accessory, it's not so worthless. If your shoes ever get wet, you can use it to hang them on a radiator, so they dry quickly and evenly. This trick is especially handy when you get your feet wet on the way to work. If you like to wash and dry your shoes in a washing machine to keep them fresh and tidy, you know that it can get really noisy. To avoid the sound of rocks rolling around the drum, put your shoes and your laces inside a mesh laundry bag. If you don't have a laundry bag, try using an empty pillowcase. You can also put a large old towel in the washing machine together with your shoes. It'll rub against the shoes and provide additional cleaning. Just make sure you don't wipe your face with this towel afterward. Glass cleaning spray is a great emergency tool to restore your patent leather shoes. Just spray it on your shoes and wipe them using a soft, dry cloth. Voila! Shining bright like a diamond. Got some creases on your shoes? No panic. Stuff your shoes tightly with some fabric to bring them back to their original shape. Then put a damp towel over the crease. Gently steam the crease with an iron. It'll get softer or disappear completely. Here's a genius tip for storing and serving fresh herbs. Cut and mix different herbs, then put them in a plastic bottle. Screw the cap and keep it in your fridge. Now you don't have to chop your herbs every time you're cooking something. You can also make an exclusive salad dressing. Just add some oil, spices, and sauce into this bottle and shake it to mix all the ingredients. When you're reheating your food in a microwave, some part of the meal gets too hot while the rest of it stays frosty. So, in case you've been looking for different tips to deal with this issue, here's the classic one. Put your food on a plate and make a hole in the center so that your meal is donut-shaped. This way, the microwave will heat it more evenly. But don't put the dish in the center of the turntable. To heat it evenly, it's best to keep it on the outer edge. If you need to heat up 2 meals at the same time, put a clean upside-down cup inside the microwave. Then put your second plate on top of that cup. There you go. It's easy and time-saving. You can squeeze lemon juice out using ordinary kitchen tongs. Cut the lemon in half and put 1/2 into the tongs. Now press them under a bowl to collect the juice. Add some water, sugar, and ice, and enjoy your lemonade. You're cooking popcorn in a microwave and can't wait to start watching the new episode of your favorite show. After 1 or 2 minutes of microwaving, little hard kernels still stay on the bottom of the popcorn bag. People tend to grab them by mistake. Biting these little betrayers can be fatal for your teeth. But luckily, there's a little slit in the bottom of the bag. Here's what you're supposed to do. When your popcorn is ready, don't rush to open the bag. Turn the bag upside down and shake it vigorously under a bowl. All the unpopped kernels will come out. Now you can enjoy your snack safely. If you have accidentally burnt the food on your stove and want to avoid dealing with fire detectors, here's a simple trick. One of the best ways to remove smoke quickly is to use a half-wet towel. Hold on to the dry side of the towel and keep flinging it around over your head. The damp part of the towel will absorb the solid particles in the smoke very quickly. And there's no need to use a knife to peel kiwi. Just cut off the top and the bottom of the kiwi. Then gently insert a tablespoon inside of the kiwi and twist it to separate the skin from the fruit. Wow, your kiwi is now peeled. However, some people prefer eating kiwi with skin. It's perfectly edible and provides lots of fiber, folate, and antioxidants, So, if you don't mind this fluffy texture, go ahead. But don't forget to wash it first.
You know that weird feeling when your eyes are seeing one thing but your body feels something different? Yeah, that's motion sickness. Turns out 8 out of 10 people feel it pretty bad. Sure, you could pop some pills or grab those motion sickness glasses if you're not a fan of Big Pharma, but let's be honest, those glasses can be a bit hit or miss. Now if you've just splurged on a shiny new iPhone, you're in luck. Apple rolled out this feature to help with motion sickness. It tends to hit hardest when you're reading or scrolling instead of just staring out the window. So, Apple invented vehicle motion cues. With this feature, you can use your phone in the car. Just don't be the one driving. Here's how it works. Tiny animated dots appear around the edges of your screen, syncing with the car's movement to keep your senses chill. Your iPhone uses built-in sensors to know when you're cruising and adjusts automatically. You can set it up to pop up on its own or toggle it from the control center whenever you need a little help. No need to press any buttons to restart your iPhone if you're using iOS 18. The revamped Control Center keeps all your favorite controls: brightness, volume, orientation, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and adds a shiny new Restart button. Just swipe down from the top right corner of your screen and press and hold that new power button. Don't just tap it. Think of it like a game of hold the button until something cool happens. After a second, the power off slider will pop up. When you're ready to bring your iPhone back to life, just hold down the side button. Easy peasy. It's like magic, but without the rabbits. The iPhone flashlight just got a major glow up. With iOS 18, not only can you adjust the brightness, but now you can also tweak the beam width. If you got a compatible model, that is. Turn on your flashlight through the lock screen or control center, and you'll see a fresh user interface pop up in the dynamic island. Swipe up and down to play with the brightness, and swipe left and right to change the beam width. And if you want to turn it off, just tap anywhere in the dynamic island. Next time you're throwing a party at your place, you'll see there will be people asking you to give them the password for Wi-Fi. You can make it all easier by creating a QR code for everyone who might need to use your network. Got some friends over and want to share your Wi-Fi without the hassle? Even if the person scanning the QR code isn't in your contacts, it's not a problem. This works like a charm for those outside your digital circle. You can even share your Wi-Fi with your Android friends this way. To create a code, just open a new Passwords app. Head to the Wi-Fi section, tap on your network, and hit Show Network QR Code. Have your friends scan it with their cameras, and boom, they're online. If your home screen starts to look like a digital junk drawer, iOS 18 got you covered. You can now ditch those app labels below the icons if you're confident you can recognize your apps just by their thumbnails. To give your home screen a cleaner look, just press and hold a blank spot until everything starts wobbling. Yes, you're in jiggle mode. Then, tap on Edit. Customize. At the bottom, select the large option to make your icons bigger. All done. There's one more makeover iOS 18 finally gives the setting menu. You don't need to scroll through a bunch of system and third-party apps crammed at the bottom. They've all been neatly tucked away under an Apps menu, clean and tidy. Now, when you dive into the main menus, you'll see a little description at the top to guide you. For instance, open the General menu, and you'll get a quick heads up. Manage your overall setup and preferences for iPhone, like software updates, device language, CarPlay, AirDrop, and more. You'll find similar summaries in other sections too, like accessibility and privacy and security. For iOS 18, there's also a smart dialer, making it easier to find your contacts. It's a T9-based system. Yeah, the kind Android users have enjoyed for ages. It lets you type a name using the number pad. So if you want to reach Max, just punch in 629. The system will guess who you're trying to call and show you the contact at the top. The Notes app just leveled up with 2 new features to boost your productivity. Now you can type in a math expression and hit equals to see the result in real time. Need to track your trip expenses, monthly subscriptions, or split that dinner bill? Just pop in the equation right in Notes. You don't need to hop back and forth to the calculator. Plus, the app keeps tabs on your recent notes, so you can switch things up easily. Just tap that 3-dot menu at the top, Hit Recent Notes, and you're back to whatever you were working on faster than you can say, multitasking. By the way, you can now add color to your text in the notes. Choose from 5 hues: purple, pink, orange, mint, and blue. Now your important points won't just blend in with the rest of the text. They'll pop like a neon sign. Just hit the AA icon and you'll find the color options waiting for you. Now, you don't have to upgrade to the iPhone 16 just to hit pause on your video recording. That's right, the cool pause button is part of the iOS 18 update for all compatible iPhones. So, when you start recording, you'll see that pause button pop up in the corner. It's a game changer for social media influencers who want to snag the perfect shot. Because let's face it, how else are you supposed to get that flawless clip for Instagram or TikTok? You've probably heard about the new Photos app in iOS 18. It's got this cool collections feature that organizes your photos by themes like recent days, pinned collections, trips, memories, and people and pets. If you want to tweak things a bit, just scroll down to the bottom of the app and hit Customize. You can remove, reorder, or add sections to make it just how you like it. It's like rearranging your sock drawer, but way more fun. Apple has also revamped the Utilities menu, making it super easy to find all sorts of goodies like receipts, handwriting, illustrations, QR codes, and documents. Just open up the same Photos app, scroll down to the Utilities menu, pick a category, and boom! You've got the images you need in a flash. Later this year, Apple's rolling out one more cool new feature: eye tracking. It's like magic for people who need a little extra help. Imagine controlling your iPad or iPhone just with your eyes. Yep, the secret sauce is AI. Setting it up is a breeze thanks to the front camera, and don't sweat it about privacy. All your data stays on your device. No sneaky peeking from Apple. You'll be able to use eye tracking across all your favorite apps on iPadOS and iOS. With this nifty feature, you'll navigate apps and even activate stuff just by looking at it. That's right, swipe, tap, and hit buttons all with a glance. Music haptics is a new way for people who are deaf or hard of hearing to vibe with music on their iPhones. When you turn this feature on, the Taptic engine cranks out taps and vibrations that sync up with the music. So far, it only works with some songs available on Apple Music, but there are millions of them. Developers can even use the API to bring this musical magic to their own apps. Vision OS is having new accessibility features this year too. First, there will be system-wide live captions. This means everyone, including those who are deaf or hard of hearing, can follow along with conversations and app audio. And for FaceTime users, live captions will make connecting with others even easier using their persona. Basically, it means you have a beauty filter right when you call.
Next time you follow a recipe where you need to separate egg yolks from whites, try this. Peel a clove of garlic and rub your fingers with it. Carefully break an egg into a bowl. With your garlicky fingers, pick up the yolk. And voila, you can now marvel at how perfectly it separates from the egg white. If it's egg peeling time, there are 2 easy ways to do it. When cooking eggs, add a teaspoon of baking soda to the boiling water. This will make peeling eggs much easier. You can also place them under cold running water as soon as they're ready. The eggshells will come off much easier, and you won't burn your hands while peeling the eggs. The sides of roads have sleeper lines for a very important reason. Their main function is to alert those drivers who doze off behind the wheel. When a car starts steering off the road, the tires go over the lines, and the sound wakes the driver up. Those price tags and labels that come glued to your Tupperware are easier to remove than you might think. No need to waste hot water and soap trying to remove them. Take a hairdryer instead. Blow some hot air directly onto the tag for a minute or so. There you go, the label comes off at once. White household appliances might get yellow with time. To make them white again, use this simple trick. Apply bleaching cream to the surface of an item. Wrap it in plastic and let it stay this way overnight. The next morning, check it out. It'll be as white as when you first bought it. When you buy a pack of cans, opening it might turn into a problem. You probably tear a hole in the plastic and try to squeeze a can out of there. But the bottom of cans was actually designed to make this part much easier. Grab a can and rub it over the top of another can from the pack. A circle the exact same size of the can will be cut out. This way, you can easily remove the new can from the pack without destroying the entire thing. Now to the art of lime squeezing. When you pick limes at the grocery store, you never know how juicy they are, and often, when you bring them home and squeeze them, almost no juice comes out. Try heating these citruses in a microwave for 30 seconds before cutting them open. You'll see that the juice will come out much easier. But be careful, they're going to be hot, and you don't want to burn your hands. If you're hanging out with your friends and feel like listening to some music but don't have a loudspeaker, there's no need to worry. Place your phone in a cup or bowl. The sound will get louder instantly. If you don't have a hanger at hand but still need to hang your shirt, this trick is for you. Most dress shirts have a tiny loop on the back between the shoulders, and you can use it to hang your shirt. How about the worst case scenario? Your phone is running out of battery and you're running late. Try this simple trick. Switch on airplane mode. Your phone will charge to 100% in no time. You can run the sticky part of a Post-it note along your laptop's keyboard. This will help remove tiny bits of food and dust that get stuck in between the keys. Avoid putting really hot food into plastic containers. Hot plastic releases all kinds of toxic chemicals, and we don't want our food to absorb that nasty stuff, right? What can be better than a bubble bath in the evening? But the bubbles are not only pretty and smell nice, they also keep the water temperature hot for longer. This way, you can enjoy a long, hot bath without getting cold too quickly. You got home craving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but your peanut butter now has 2 layers, and the oil is at the top. To avoid getting disappointed, next time, store a peanut butter jar turned upside down. Your screwdriver and wrench can work together to remove that stubborn screw. Grab your screwdriver's handle with the wrench and use it to apply more force. This method will also help you reach more difficult areas. There is a reason why your coffee stirrer looks like a straw. It has holes in it because it reduces the amount of plastic manufacturers have to use. Plus, they prevent the stirrer from floating. The holes in the stirrer get filled with coffee, which in turn makes it heavier. And speaking of coffee, you should never buy the product that is more than 18 months old. Make sure to look at the best before date when buying it. If you've ever had trouble with those classic salt and pepper shakers, the ones you may see in diners, I've got a trick for you. Instead of shaking your entire arm to try and get some salt out of the container, try rubbing the bottom of one container with the bottom of the other. Grab the salt and hold it so that the bottom of the container faces downward. Now, while holding the pepper shaker upright, rub the 2 bottom parts together, creating circular friction between them. After this, the salt will spill effortlessly. After a long day of hiking, your shoes might smell funny. Well, I've got good news for you. Put dry tea bags inside your shoes and keep them in a dry place for a while. The tea bags will absorb bad smells and make your shoes dry. If you've torn your flip-flop while taking a walk, there's a way to save the day, but only if you have a bread clip with you. First, push the strap back into its hole. Then attach the bread clip to the bottom of the flip-flop strap. Here you go! Your body needs a daily amount of vitamin C to boost your immune system, but oranges are a tricky fruit to peel. To avoid getting sprayed all over your face, start by cutting off both the top and the bottom parts of the orange. Then, cut the peel vertically. Hook your fingers under the opposite sides of the cut and open your orange. If it's difficult for you to figure out how much detergent you need to wash your clothes, here's a tip for you. Usually, detergent caps have markings that indicate the exact amount of liquid you should use per wash. It helps your detergent last longer. Permanent markers are not as permanent as you might believe they are. I can prove it. Let's say you used a permanent marker, thinking it was a regular one, to draw something on a whiteboard. Good news for you, you don't need to throw the board away yet. There's a way to save it. Get a regular marker and use it to draw over the lines left by the permanent one. Let it sit for a while so that both markers blend in together. The thing is, the ink of the regular marker contains a solvent that dissolves the pigment the permanent marker contains. Now take a paper towel and rub the whiteboard clean. The marker will come off easily. If you need to peel peaches, use the technique called blanching. First, heat up some water. Wait until it starts boiling. Soak the peaches in the water for about 20 seconds. Then put the fruit into a bowl with cold water and leave them for about 5 minutes. There you have it. The peel will come off nicely and easily. That plastic lid covering your drink can be used as a coaster. Take the lid off and put it on the table. The bottom of your cup will fit perfectly into the lid's inner ring. No more stained tables from now on. Bristles on escalators are there for safety reasons. They remain stationary while the escalator is moving, preventing people from standing too close to the sides. This helps to avoid accidents like getting your shoelaces stuck. If you pay close attention to elevator doors, you'll notice they have a small hole in them. This is a keyhole, and only authorized personnel have the key to it. They use it in emergency situations or during a regular maintenance routine.
Now, doctors recommend risking your life at least twice a day. I mean, brushing your teeth at least twice a day. But you see, the seemingly harmless toothpaste that peacefully chills on every American counter poses a life-threatening danger because of one not-so-harmless ingredient, sodium fluoride. Now, don't get me wrong, not every toothpaste out there contains it, but most of them still do. But don't rush to the bathroom to trash your tube. If you swallow a tiny pea-sized glob, it isn't fatal. I'm talking about larger quantities. A toothpaste tube has only 0.15% fluoride. To send you running to the hills, you must consume around 8 tubes one by one, so technically, toothpaste is totally safe. Let's go and look for more dangers at your place, shall we? Personally, I don't have this one, but if you happen to have a CFL light bulb, you gotta be extremely cautious with it. The thing is, many of those bulbs are made with mercury. If such a bulb breaks, you gotta start by turning off your ventilation system. Otherwise, the contamination will only get worse. Make sure everyone has left the room, then open a window to allow for fresh air circulation. Finally, clean the area where the bulb shattered. Be careful to address both wet and dry surfaces and contact specialists. Mercury vapors are definitely the biggest concern when it comes to this element. Take, for instance, a case of 2008, where a 55-year-old guy in Oklahoma tried to extract gold from old electronics using liquid mercury. Unfortunately, he inhaled too much vapor and sadly passed away just 10 days later. The contamination was so severe that they had to completely gut his house. Now, you definitely don't want your favorite clothes to get ruined by moths, so you might grab some mothballs to exterminate them. But watch out, those mothballs can exterminate you too. They usually contain chemicals like naphthalene or paradichlorobenzene. When these get into the air, they turn into gas. That strong smell you associate with mothballs kicks in. Those fumes can actually irritate your eyes and lungs, and may even cause headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Plus, there are concerns about these chemicals being the cause of major conditions that even modern medicine can cure. Naphthalene is especially risky because it can break down your red blood cells, leading to a condition called hemolytic anemia. So try to swap those balls for good old lavender. Moths aren't big fans of it. Now, it's super important to keep an eye on the plants you bring into your home because some can be surprisingly harmful. Take Dieffenbachia, commonly known as dumb cane, for example. Rumor has it that its sap can cause your tongue to swell up so much that it can block your airway. But can it really? Yes and no. It's true that this plant contains poisonous, tiny needle-like crystals called rapides, but they require someone to actually chew on a leaf first before any fuss happens. Otherwise, you might just feel a brief burning sensation or observe some skin redness. In rare cases, you might see some swelling in the area that touched the plant. Generally, just a little nibble leads to mild discomfort, so please don't snack on your potted plants. This warning is more for the safety of your pets, especially cats. Now, if Dieffenbachia stays in contact with the mouth for too long, it can cause some serious pain that might linger for days or even weeks. In those cases, a trip to the hospital might be necessary, especially if the throat gets affected, as that could impact breathing. But don't believe the hype that Diefenbachia is a lethal poison. That's just an urban legend. The bottom line? One must be really dumb to get poisoned by a dumb cane. Now, using a power washer can be more dangerous than you might think. The intense pressure can lead to serious injuries, and the high-speed spray can kick up debris that might cause even more harm. If you do get injured, infections can set in quickly, and without timely medical care, things can get really serious. Think severe complications, potential limb loss, or even worse. But honestly, it's not that scary. Just don't overdo it with pressure. Here's a friendly tip. Don't skip out on your weekly house cleaning, especially when it comes to the bathroom. The longer you put off cleaning it, the more risky it becomes. Bathrooms are notorious hotspots for bacteria, which makes regular cleaning essential. You definitely don't want those unwelcome guests like norovirus, E. coli, salmonella, or even Staphylococcus aureus hanging around, along with those molds and mildews. Just put things into perspective. An average toilet seat can host over 200,000 colony-forming bacteria. And here's another thing to keep in mind. If you're not careful while cleaning, you can accidentally create a dangerous situation. Mixing bleach and ammonia can release a toxic gas called chloramine. Those fumes can lead to some pretty nasty symptoms, from shortness of breath to fluid in your lungs. Guess what? If it happens, you will probably kick the bucket. And I'm not talking about the one you use for cleaning the floors in the bathroom. On a sweltering summer day, having air conditioning is definitely a blessing. But don't let that trick you into thinking there aren't risks involved. If your AC is on the older side, it can lead to various issues. For example, the ductwork and filters can trap harmful mold, bacteria, and allergens. If those aren't addressed, folks in your home might end up dealing with coughing, wheezing, or a stuffy nose. Plus, an aging AC unit can pose a fire risk. Older components tend to generate more heat as they try to keep up, and if they're not replaced, you could end up with a potential fire hazard. Faulty wiring is another concern, as many wires are tucked away in hard-to-reach spots, making them tough to inspect. So, if you have an older AC, it's a smart move to have it cleaned properly and ensure that its parts and wiring are up to date to avoid any fire risks. Snuggling under a cozy electric blanket when the weather turns chilly sounds like a dream. But if electric blankets get too hot, they might lead to burns. This risk is particularly significant with older models that don't have an automatic shutoff feature. So the best way to use such a blanket is to warm up your bed and then turn it off before you crawl in. There's also the concern of heat stroke linked to the use of an electric blanket. Once, 2 people were discovered unresponsive in their beds beneath electric blankets. The first person's body temperature reached an alarming 106.2 degrees Fahrenheit, while the second person's temperature was 105.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So while these blankets offer comfort, it's crucial to use them wisely. Just a quick heads up about windshield washer fluid. It contains methanol, which can really pack a punch. If ingested, it can cause everything from dizziness and headaches to severe poisoning. Make sure to store it safely and keep it in the original container. Never transfer it to unmarked bottles. It can easily be confused with water and other harmless liquids, and that's a big no-no. Methanol is super toxic. For a grown-up, 2 to 8 ounces can do the trick. You know what I mean. The windshield washer fluid you dump into your car usually has about 30 to 50% methanol in it. But the concentrated versions? They can pack a serious punch with 90 to 100% methanol. Just remember, these products need to be diluted with water before you use them. The last everyday thing on our list does seem to be a great buddy of ours, especially if located in the bathroom. But although air fresheners can give your home a pleasant scent, many of them release volatile organic compounds that can build up over time and may pose serious health risks, including neurological issues and incurable conditions. I suggest, if you were to ask me, you play it safe and think about opting for natural alternatives or enhancing your home's ventilation instead. Got that? Good. Now, apart from being a great food additive and warding off vampires, Garlic has cleansing properties that can make things more tolerable around the bathroom, and we can all use that. Freshly crushed garlic cloves contain a variety of antimicrobial properties. Allicin reduces the buildup of bacteria and fungi. The natural cleansing properties of garlic are not only great for the environment, but they can also help you avoid the need to constantly clean the toilet. Simply crush up a piece of garlic and put it into your toilet bowl before you go to bed. The next morning, flush the toilet. The Allicin has done the grueling task of cleaning the toilet for you. Doing this 2 times a week will ensure a very clean toilet bowl. Hair grease and grime build up over time and eventually clog the drains. Removing the blockage is easy with salt and vinegar. Using a small bowl, add 1 cup of vinegar and 1 cup of salt and mix thoroughly until it's evenly combined. Pour the mixture into the drain and wait for 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the severity of the clog. This method will save on money, further showing that salt and vinegar aren't just good on chips, but they are. Now, to further ensure the drain is clear of not only the blockage, but also the smell, add 3½ ounces of baking soda. Boil 6 ounces of water and mix in 1 cup of vinegar. Pour the baking soda into the drain, followed by the boiling water and vinegar mix. It will begin sizzling once the reaction starts, so just sit back and let it do its thing. An hour later, the blockage, along with the smell, will be gone. Scorched pans tend to use a lot of elbow grease, but they can be cleaned a lot easier with the right ingredients. Fill your pot or pan with water and add in about 1 cup of vinegar. Bring the liquid to a boil, then remove the pan from the heat before it completely dries up, ensuring there is a small amount of liquid remaining. Sprinkle baking soda on the base, covering the burnt parts. A couple of teaspoons should be enough to form a slurry. Watch and wait as the soda fizzes. Continue to move the pan around to ensure you cover the scorched areas. Once the fizzing stops, you're free to scrub away. Vinegar by itself can be used for many purposes. A couple of teaspoons mixed with water in a spray bottle will easily remove salt stains from shoes. Pour white vinegar into a container and place rusty tools inside. Overnight, the vinegar will eat away at the rust. After 24 hours, as you wipe it, you will be able to remove the corrosion easily. Baking soda also removes foul odors on furniture and carpet, as it gradually absorbs all the acidic odors within a covered area. Baking soda is a pH neutralizer, which means it absorbs smells that are acidic in nature. This includes most of the nasty smells we find throughout our living areas. When applying, ensure you are very generous while spreading. Leave it on the required area for at least an hour, and for best results, leave it on overnight. Then just suck it up with a vacuum cleaner. Charcoal contains the same odor-removing elements, only better, and deals with a greater variety of particles. However, you don't want to exchange smells for patches of black stains from the charcoal, but putting them into air freshener sachets and hiding them underneath the cushions will have the desired effect without the mess. There are various forms of cleaning you can do with vinegar. The reason why it's so effective is the acetic acid content, which is more powerful than other natural ingredients like coffee and orange juice. There is a process involved for vinegar to develop into the crime-fighting liquid that it is. The acetic acid that makes up the effective properties, it can be used on many surfaces without damaging them. Not only is it beneficial for cleaning and removing stains, but also for polishing copper, brass, bronze, and silver. Given its benefits for almost anything, it'll give your dishwasher an extra boost with a natural cleanse. Just fill up half a bowl of white vinegar and place it on the top rack before you start the machine. Then witness the immaculate results. Within the small space of a microwave, you can combine 2 cups of water with 1/4 cup of lemon juice in an open dish. Run the microwave on high for 8 minutes. The steam from the solution will get absorbed into the crusty layers within the microwave, and once complete, it'll be easier to clean, leaving a fresh, lemony smell. Using the oil of cloves and cinnamon, you can soak cotton balls in them and place them in small bags inside your closet. Moths and other insects can't stand these ingredients, which will ensure that your clothes remain untouched. Using similar ingredients, you can create your own humidifier with a stove in the winter. Simply fill a can 2/3 of the way with water, adding cinnamon sticks, cloves, and orange peel, and place it on the stove. While it adds moisture to the air, it'll also provide a soothing scent. Scratches, nicks, and marks made on wooden furniture can be restained with a pecan by simply rubbing it on the scratched or damaged area. Has your stainless steel cutlery and other flatware lost its shine? Put them in a small pan filled with carbonated water. Let them sit until the bubbles have completely gone flat. The steel will shine as good as new once removed and wiped down. Add witch hazel to the water fill in your iron, and as you're ironing your clothes, instead of the stale smell normally produced, you'll have a sweeter, fresher scent instead. Within the difficult corners of furniture where a vacuum cleaner's suction can't quite reach, use a paintbrush to easily reach the buildup that has escaped the suction for so long. Chewing gum stuck on your finger? Or maybe after popping it, is now stuck in your hair? Rub vegetable oil on it, then leave it for a few minutes until you're able to remove it easily. Ammonia is 100% safe for the environment, though it can be harmful to the skin. But its cleaning uses are extensive. Pour a cup of household ammonia into a small bowl in the oven, making sure the oven is off, and leave it overnight. The next morning, wipe it down with a damp wipe. You'll appreciate the difference as you easily clean the grime from the hardest places to wash. Ammonia's natural benefits should mean it's always used instead of bleach. In the bathroom, not only does it make the tiles sparkle like brand new, but it will easily remove mildew. 1/4 cup of ammonia per gallon will get the job done. Running half a lemon down the side of a cheese grater will effectively remove sticky food particles. Just remember to wash with water afterward. This ensures a more effective cleanse and keeps your fingers safe from being cut. Make sure to save the juice from the lemon, as it's a natural substitute for bleach. Using just 1/2 cup of juice per gallon, leave clothes to soak for at least an hour and then dry them out in the sun. The same volume can be used in a washing machine to brighten colors and bleach your whites. It's also possible to sanitize your earrings with 1 tablespoon of lemon juice in 1.5 cups of water. Just be sure to avoid putting your gold and pearls, as they're sensitive to the acids found in lemons. Apply olive oil and a bit of salt when washing your cast iron pans after cooking. This will ensure you remove all the debris and will reduce the effects on the surface of the pan, extending its usage. Without using salt, the same method can be used to remove stains on stainless steel benches and ovens. Gently cleaning with a small amount of olive oil in a circular motion will not only remove charred fragments, but will also restore their shine. Due to the antimicrobial properties that olive oil contains, it's an incredibly safe and natural alternative to chemicals. Further varieties of oils, like tea tree oil, have even more benefits with their antiviral and antifungal properties. By using distilled oil in a spray bottle with a few drops of olive oil, you can make your own ready-to-use all-purpose cleaner.
Trains used to make people mad. During the Victorian era, there was this rumor that the swaying motion of train carriages made passengers, especially men, go a bit crazy, leading to some strange and dangerous behavior. The so-called railway madness was supposedly triggered by the noise of the train. To make things worse, carriages were locked for privacy reasons back then, so people found themselves stuck in tiny spaces with lunatics who could snap at any moment.
If you see someone putting ketchup on some car, it doesn't mean you're witnessing them preparing a prank. It means they're just taking care of their car. Yup, it goes great with hamburgers and hot dogs, but it goes even better with cars since it has ingredients that are good at removing rust. Rust occurs when the metal gets exposed to moisture, oxygen, and heat, and due to weather conditions, it's hard to avoid it. When you leave rust for a longer time and don't deal with it, it will continue to degrade the metal. So, you need to get rid of it before your car becomes physically useless. That's when ketchup comes in. Its key ingredient is tomatoes, and they have many nutrients similar to those you can find in oranges and some other citrus fruits. For instance, citric acid can help you remove rust from metal surfaces since it eats through rust. We're not talking about the cars only. You can use it on metallic kitchenwares, furniture parts, jewelry, and rust spots on generally any metallic item. You can combine it with washing soda. It's not quite effective against rust, but when you combine it with ketchup, it'll do the work. Mix these two and apply them to the rusted area. Leave it like that for about half an hour and wash it with a wet cloth or sponge. You can combine ketchup with salt instead, or just apply a lot of it on the rusty area without using any additional ingredients. Ketchup removes tarnish from brass copper too. Put it on brass hardware on doors and cabinets, or some accessories such as bowls and candlesticks for 10 minutes to make it all shine. And also, you don't put it on meat just because of taste. Ketchup breaks down its fibers, which means it makes it more tender.
Locking handles as we know them were only invented relatively recently, in 1878. Before that, people had to get pretty inventive to secure their homes. Most folks used a latch string. They'd make a small hole in the door, thread a leather thong or string through it, and then loop it around a wooden bar. Even after doorknobs were invented, only the wealthy could afford a proper lock and key. Vacuum cleaners had a rough start too. The first one was invented in 1901, but it was so huge that it wouldn't fit inside houses. Instead, vacuuming was offered as a mobile service. The machines were parked outside, and long hoses were fed through the windows. And to get to the client's house, these large cleaning machines were actually pulled by horses. Back in the day, animals even used to pull strollers. Yep, with kids inside. The stroller was first developed in 1733 for the daughters and sons of a British nobleman who might have been a bit too lazy to walk with them every day. So, the first model was basically a shell-shaped basket on wheels that could be pulled by a goat or a small pony. This small chariot was cute, but probably not the safest way to get around. Refrigerators also used to be a bit scary. From the late 1800s until 1929, they used toxic gases like ammonia, methyl chloride, and sulfur dioxide to cool things down. People were so concerned about gas leaks that they began leaving their refrigerators in the backyard instead of keeping them in the kitchen. This danger even inspired Albert Einstein to create a new model. In 1926, Einstein and his former student Leo Szilard invented a refrigerator with no moving parts, using safer, environmentally friendly gases to reduce the risk of toxic leaks. But it had one problem. Einstein's refrigerator was less efficient than existing appliances, so it wasn't commercially appealing. If you ever find yourself casually wandering in the forests of Estonia, don't freak out if you see some giant megaphones. These wooden, acoustic giants were set 3 hours away from the country's capital by interior architecture students. That's way cooler than the hamster roller coaster I once built for a science fair, I have to admit. More than half of Estonia is covered by woods, and they're pretty proud of this natural wealth. So it's not the first art project of this kind, and there was a winding, elevated pathway and a faceted woodland cabin. The idea of the megaphones is to crank up the natural sounds of a forest and also to serve as a rest spot for hikers. These wooden beauties are large enough to host several people. And hey, if you walk this far into the woodland, you'll be thankful for this. The students were given a task to invent some concepts of a forest library. They built the megaphones off-site and brought them to their permanent spots. They're set in such a way that sounds from 3 directions meet in the center and create a cool, natural surround sound effect. Thankfully, kitchen supplies, including our beloved grills, have come a long way. Back in the 1950s, a metalworker named George Stephen had a brilliant idea while trying to create the perfect steak. Frustrated with flare-ups and uneven cooking, he decided to cut an old ocean buoy in half. This allowed him to control the airflow better, and that's how the Weber Kettle Grill was born, changing backyard barbecues forever. Have you ever used a public bathroom in the summer in your shorts and sandals and got splashed? It happens to the best of us, so no worries. If only there was some solution to this problem. Perhaps a urinal with a small hole so no liquid goes where it shouldn't. Looks pretty yucky and painful to me. An assistant professor at the University of Waterloo, Zhao Pen, and his colleagues came up with a way better solution for this sensitive issue. Their designs were inspired by physics and dogs. When a stream of liquid moves on a solid surface at a shallow angle, the splash is reduced, and the smaller the angle, the fewer splashes you'll see. You can even minimize them to a zero. And when dogs do their business, they lift their hind legs and do it on the vertical surface of a tree or a wall. I don't know if they actually care about it, but this does reduce the splash. Good job, Pluto. Talking about that, here's a fun challenge for your next family gathering. Ask everyone to fold a piece of paper in half, then in half again, and keep going for a total of 7 folds. Spoiler alert, they probably won't succeed. That's because each fold makes the paper thicker and thicker. In fact, if you had a huge sheet of paper and folded it in half 50 times, it would end up being about 62 million miles thick, which is about 2/3 of the way from Earth to the Sun. So yeah, it's impossible. The current record is held by a high school student named Brittany Gallivan, who managed to fold a single piece of paper in half 12 times, and it was a tissue paper. The USB symbol, looking like a trident, has always sparked multiple speculations about its origin. One popular idea is that it represents Neptune's trident and symbolizes power and adaptability. But there's also a little bit less exciting theory. A man who claimed to have designed the symbol in the 1980s stated that it was supposed to represent connectivity. The large circle symbolizes a computer, while the attached shapes, the circle, the triangle, and square, stand for different outputs. Look closely at a tram's overhead lines, and you'll see that its contact wires zigzag back and forth instead of going in a straight line. That's because all trams have pantographs attached to their roofs. The upper part of the pantograph is gradually worn down by the overhead wire and eventually needs to be replaced. To wear it down evenly, the wire is not installed strictly along the tram's path, but in zigzag patterns. As the tram moves, the pantograph slides along the wire, and it wears down evenly. Those cone-shaped water cooler cups? Their shape is intentionally designed to prevent users from setting the cups down. This allows employees to minimize the risk of spilling water on their desks around various electronic devices. Plus, less material is used to produce cone-shaped cups, which makes the process less wasteful and more cost-effective. It also kinda supports sustainability by encouraging people to drink their water quickly and dispose of their cups immediately after. You're probably wearing a YKK product right now. I mean, go check the zipper on your jeans. Yep, that's it. YKK stands for Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kaisha, a Japanese company that makes roughly half of all the zippers in the world, producing over 7 billion zippers each year. Originally called hookless fasteners, they became known as zippers after a pair of rubber boots that could be fastened with a single zip became popular in 1923. The name stuck because of the high-pitched zip sound they make when used. Despite a popular myth, household batteries don't actually contain liquid, and if you accidentally cut them open, no toxic liquid will spill. Most of them are dry cell batteries, which are made of electrochemical cells. Those convert chemical energy into electrical energy. Larger batteries often house numerous small cells within them too. Even Tesla vehicle batteries consist of multiple small cells. When combined, they easily provide the necessary voltage. Did you know that nail polish used to be a status symbol? In ancient Egypt, queens like Nefertiti and Cleopatra were famous for their red nails, while lower-ranking citizens were only allowed to wear pale shades. You'll probably agree that there's no better snack than a pack of chips. Some are flat, others have ridges. Is it just aesthetics? Not really. The main purpose of those lines on some kinds of chips is to help with the distribution of spices and seasonings. In other words, all those substances that make your chips taste like cheese are mostly stored inside the lines. Plus, the lines make chips crunchier. This item here was also popular in ancient Egypt. What looks like a weird bench was actually a weird type of pillow. Back then, headrests were made from materials like wood, ceramic, and stone. Unlike our comfy pillows today, those ancient ones were used to protect people's hairstyles. That way, their hairdos stayed neat, even though they had a very uncomfortable night.
If you've left a pot on the stove and your food burned, once again, take ketchup. Its acids will ease all the scrubbing and help you with grease. Just leave it over the night and you'll be able to wash the pot more easily. Or keep those small packages of ketchup we all end up having from fast food orders in the freezer. The ketchup won't be as hard as an ice cube as it freezes. So it will be good for soothing insect bites or similar things.
For 8 centuries, forks were considered cursed and nearly forbidden in the West. The first models were used by the elite in the Middle East and the Byzantine Empire, and they made their way to the West in 1004, thanks to a noblewoman named Maria Argyropoulina. People were pretty shocked by it, to say the least. So when she passed away just 2 years later, everyone blamed the fork, thinking it was some kind of divine punishment. By the way, its name comes from the Latin word furca, which means pitchfork. Next on our list is Nike's iconic moon shoe, but I'm talking about the unique pattern of its sole. Back in the 1970s, Nike co-founder Bill Bowerman was making waffles for breakfast with his wife when he had a sudden idea to pour a plastic material called polyurethane into the waffle iron. The machine was ruined, of course, but I guess it was worth it since that's how the first Nike waffle trainer was born. I mean, its sole. That clear fluid in gel pens is called the ink follower or stopper fluid. The gel in such pens contains pigment particles dissolved in a polymer solution. The main task of the stopper fluid is to be a barrier to prevent the gel from evaporating or leaking out. Without this transparent fluid, your gel pen wouldn't function. The fluid always stays in one position and doesn't get dissolved with the gel. Neither does it move backwards or flow out of the pen. Let's move on to another favorite snack, popcorn. These days, cinema and popcorn go hand in hand, but it wasn't always this way. In the 1920s and 1930s, movie theater owners were hesitant to allow snacks in their theaters. They were worried about the mess and the crunching noises interfering with movies. Plus, popcorn used to cost only 5 to 10 cents, so they didn't see any financial benefit. But savvy street vendors saw a big chance. So, they got their own popcorn machines and started selling them outside theaters. That's why popcorn probably became the original clandestine movie snack, and theater staff would even have to check if people were hiding bags of it in their coats. Have you ever helped your friends move into a new apartment in a building without an elevator? Then you're gonna love this one. Houses in Amsterdam have hooks on top. This is a medieval invention for pulling stuff up the houses. The simple tech consisting of a wheel and a rope still functions now, centuries later. Why not just use the stairs? Well, if you get inside one of those narrow Amsterdam buildings, you'll see there's hardly enough room to comfortably ascend, and you can forget about even trying to pull a table on top. Back in the medieval ages, pretty much like now, only rich people could afford housing around the canals in the best parts of the city. Those people were mostly traders and used the canals for their business. They stored goods in the same houses they lived in, and with regular floods, they had to find a way to keep the goods dry. And that's why they needed to invent something to lift furniture, goods, boxes, instruments, and food on the upper floors, and pull it in through fully open, wide windows. The lifting tech is one of the reasons the houses in Amsterdam are leaning forward. This position helped keep both the lifted stuff and the walls and windows safe during transportation. They didn't have to touch each other. The gables also assisted in the process and had to be made firm to withstand all the heavy weight. And in case you're wondering what gables are, they're sections of wall between the edges of a dual-pitched roof, typical for Amsterdam. Sticking with old-school fun, it's time to talk about cards. So, have you ever wondered how many times you need to riffle a deck to shuffle it completely? The answer is 7 times, according to math. Even cooler, if you shuffle a deck right, you're probably creating a unique order that's never existed before and never will again. And if you have a deck at hand, check out the Four Kings. You'll notice that the King of Hearts is the only one without a mustache. He's not special or anything. I mean, he also used to have a mustache, but it was lost in the reproduction of the original design.
Your home has more regular things that can do magic tricks. Like if you have a house or a big terrace and want to make a nice flower wall. Try old mattress springs. Just hang them on the wall and let your imagination run wild with flowers. An old flower sifter can still come in handy, for example, as a planter. Even if you don't have one, you might find it at a garage sale or a thrift store. Wallpaper is making its big comeback when it comes to home design. Maybe you can try something different and use some old books with torn pages. You just need to learn the basics of hanging wallpaper, and voila! You get a new cool place for your old books. There's a solution for the remains of an old book. Don't worry. You can have blocks where you'll keep your kitchen knives. It's pretty original, don't you think?
Solitaire was probably everyone's go-to game to pass the time back in the 1990s, but its original purpose was far from it. When developers created this game, their idea was to teach people how to use a computer without them even realizing it. For example, dragging and dropping cards into one place helped people learn how to move files into folders. The same goes for Minesweeper, which was designed to help people get used to using a mouse and clicking.
Cleaning blinds can be frustrating, but the next time you do it, try doing it with a sock over your hand. Hands are kind of perfectly shaped for getting all those nooks and crannies on the blinds, and the sock will do the rest. Here's something you wouldn't expect. Ice cubes can help you remove gum from carpet, clothing, and hair. Just put your clothes in the sink and add ice cubes. Leave it like that for a while. Ice will freeze the gum, so you can chip it away more easily. If the gum got stuck on the carpet, leave ice cubes right in the critical spot and remove the gum with a butter knife. It's a little bit harder to remove it from hair though, but still possible. Just wrap the ice and parts of your hair with the gum in a washcloth until the gum gets frozen. When you get there, you should be able to break apart the gum and free your hair using your fingers. Or next time you have to deal with a splinter, just take one ice cube to numb that area before you even start doing anything.
You might have noticed that movie theater seats are almost always red. This choice isn't random. It has strategic importance, which is rooted in visual science. The thing is, red light has a longer wavelength. It means that it's the first color to disappear in low light. It allows the audience to concentrate better on the screen once the movie begins. Such a design choice enhances the viewing experience by minimizing distractions. Speed bumps are crucial for pedestrian safety, but at the same time, they can seriously increase car emissions due to the non-stop acceleration and deceleration they cause. To address this issue, some cities like London are testing fake speed bumps. Those are optical illusions painted on the road. They look raised from a driver's perspective, but in reality, they're flat. Authorities hope that this approach will slow down drivers without having a negative impact on the environment. Soda bottles are always filled in such a way that there's some space between the liquid and the cap. That's because soda contains carbon dioxide. It's a gas that can expand once the bottle's heated. If there's no gap in the bottle, it can break because of the pressure building inside. Also, when you open your drink, the gases go out in the form of bubbles, making the drink overflow. The gap helps with this problem too. If you're more into Angry Birds, Candy Crush, and other mobile games, that's totally normal. After all, more people have access to cell phones than to toilets these days. But not many of us stop to think about how disgusting our phones can be. The natural bacteria from our skin and the oils from our hands get transferred to our phones with every touch, swipe, and tap. This makes phones about 10 times dirtier than toilet seats. Yikes!
So you're on a desert safari, but things don't go as planned. Now you've run out of water in one of the hottest and driest places on the planet. You might think you can get some water from a cactus, but sorry, that's just a myth. In fact, most cactuses have protective chemicals inside them that can make you sick if you try to eat them. There are only a couple of exceptions. The prickly pear and one type of barrel cactus called the fishhook barrel cactus have milder chemicals and could give you some water if you really needed it. Now, if you believe you can escape an alligator if you run in a zigzag, well, I need to disappoint you. This isn't true either. Just run as fast as you can. Alligators rarely chase humans on land. They prefer to ambush their prey in the water, where they are faster and more agile. After all, they can swim at 10 miles per hour. So the chance of an alligator chasing a human on land is very low. This zigzag running advice is more of a joke than a serious survival strategy. Don't believe the myth claiming you can survive a wild animal attack if you pretend to not be alive. Okay, in the animal kingdom, playing dead is a common defense tactic. Some animals even excrete certain odors to enhance the illusion and deter predators. Yet, for humans, that's different. Investigation into 14 different types of animals in North America revealed that, in most situations, it's crucial to stay alert and knowledgeable to be able to take the right actions in time. The next popular, but false, idea is that polar bears hide their noses with their paws while hunting. People think they do it because their black noses are easy to see against the ice, while their fur blends in. However, experts have spent years using telescopes to watch polar bears hunting seals in the Arctic. They've observed them for a long time, even up to 24 hours, and have never seen them cover their noses like that. Unless they have to sneeze. Just joking. Another belief is that running downhill will save you from a bear. This is based on the idea that their shorter front legs struggle to run downhill. In reality, bears are incredibly fast runners, capable of reaching speeds of over 37 miles per hour, and they can sprint downhill just as easily as uphill. So, you'll need another strategy. The myth that vehicle headrests are designed to be detachable and sharp to break windows is false. The primary function of a headrest is to prevent neck damage in a crash. Research and documents about the headrest design don't mention any feature for breaking windows. Plus, not all vehicles have removable headrests, and those that are detachable are not necessarily sharp. Touching a baby bird will make its parents abandon it. Actually, birds have a limited sense of smell, so they're unlikely to detect human scent on their babies. This misconception often leads people to leave fledgling birds alone, thinking they're helping. But in reality, these young birds might need assistance. But also, it's common for young birds to leave the nest before they can fly well, and their parents usually to continue to feed them on the ground. If you find a baby bird that has fallen out of its nest, it's best to leave it alone, as the parents are likely nearby and will continue to care for it. The widespread belief that humans use only 10% of their brains is a myth too. Advanced neuroimaging tools like PET scans show that the entire brain is active, even during sleep. These scans reveal continuous activity across the brain, involved in functions such as regulating, interpreting, and acting. This debunks the idea that large parts of the brain remain inactive. The myth that shaving body hair makes it grow back thicker and darker is false. When you shave facial or body hair, it doesn't change its thickness, color, or rate of growth. Shaving just leaves hairs with blunt tips. These newly cut, blunt tips might feel coarser or stubbier as the hair grows out. During this phase, the hair may seem more noticeable and could appear darker or thicker, but this is just a temporary effect, not an actual change in the properties of your body hair. The tall tale that daddy longlegs are the world's most venomous spiders is just a bit of an overstatement. These critters aren't even true spiders. They have been wrongly accused of packing a dangerous venomous punch. In fact, they don't have venom glands at all, and their tiny fangs can't even break human skin. It seems they got their fearsome reputation more from their spindly appearance and as a case of mistaken identity. The belief that everyone in medieval times kicked the bucket in their 30s is way off. Life expectancy is just an average. Back then, a lot of people didn't make it past childhood due to things like rampant infant mortality and risky childbirth. But if you went through those early life hurdles and hit your 20s, you had a decent shot at seeing your 50s or even 70s. Most of our medieval life expectancy data comes from noble dudes, who often ended up as battlefield statistics, skewing the numbers. Soap is often seen as the arch nemesis of cast-iron cookware, but let's bust that myth with a little kitchen science. The fear is that soap will take away the precious seasoning that makes cast-iron pans non-stick and awesome. Modern soaps are much gentler than those old lye-heavy ones that started this whole non-soap on cast-iron rule. Today's soaps won't harm your pan seasoning, especially if it's well established. The old "wait an hour after eating before you swim" rule is more of a misconception than a medical must. The idea was that swimming right after a big meal could lead to cramps, but in reality, it's not a hard rule. Sure, your body diverts blood to your stomach for better digestion, which could, theoretically, leave less for your muscles, increasing the risk of cramps. But for most people, a little light post-snack swimming isn't a recipe for disaster. Bundling up because you think cold weather causes colds? Well, it's not exactly the air that's to blame. It's true that we often start sniffling when the temperature drops, but it's not the cold itself doing the deed. The real culprits are the viruses that cause colds, which just happen to love those lower temperatures. So while chilly weather provides a cozy playground for these germs, catching a cold still requires catching the virus. In other words, it's not the frosty weather, but the frosty weather-loving viruses that you need to watch out for. Oh look, it's that time again when a Facebook privacy hoax makes the rounds, convincing people that a simple copy-paste can magically protect their data. Yes, the classic "I do not give Facebook permission" spiel is back, charming users into thinking this status update is a legally binding shield against privacy breaches. Spoiler alert, it's not. These posts claim that declaring sovereignty over your personal content on your timeline will stop Facebook from using your photos, information, and messages. Facebook's actual policies and user agreements, which everyone agreed to by signing up, still hold the real power. Shaving a double-coated dog is okay? No, it's a big no-no, with some lasting downsides. These dogs have a soft undercoat and a tougher topcoat. Shaving messes up their growth balance, leading to a mismatched and not-so-pretty coat. Plus, there's only a 50-50 chance the double coat will return to its former glory, if at all. Contrary to popular belief, shaving doesn't cool them down. It actually wrecks the coat's natural air circulation system. Other risks include matting, sunburn, and impaired temperature regulation. The coat might never look or feel the same again. Go for a de-shedding treatment. It removes excess undercoat, helps your dog stay cool, and keeps the coat in top shape, all without the drama of a full shave. It's time to look at common misconceptions and myths associated with treating frostbite. Rubbing frostbitten skin cannot help. It can actually worsen the condition and lead to tissue damage. The idea that hot water should be used for rewarming the affected areas is wrong, too. Use lukewarm water instead to avoid burns. You see these blades? They have notched corners to make your cutting experience smoother. Ooh! The front edge notch helps with separating blades during manufacturing, while the trailing edge notch helps the blade glide easily. And a fun fact, that notch on the front also helps you spot unused sections of the blade, just a little visual indicator to make your life easier. When it comes to silver versus black blades, they're both made from the same stuff. But black blades are sharper and are better suited for cutting through tough materials, while silver blades strike a balance between cutting power and durability. If you want that extra cutting oomph, go for black. Oh, almost forgot. The only thing those blades aren't meant to cut is food. It has a rust-proofing oil coating, which is not safe for humans. Check this one out. It's totally giving me childhood vibes. Now, I remember my grandma having tomato-shaped pincushions just like this, and sometimes they would look more like a salad, with a little pepper thrown in there. Well, believe it or not, This salad actually has a purpose. The tomato keeps your pins in place, while the pepper keeps them sharp. Those peppers are filled with sand, which helps keep your pins nice and sharp. And it's not just sand. Crushed walnuts can also be used to keep your pins in tip-top shape. Now look at this multiple pocket tool and this little hook on it. It's a bit of a mystery, but it's actually pretty handy. I counted at least 4 different applications. 1. You can use it to carry all sorts of awkward stuff, like camping gear or heavy parcels. 2. Need to twist some wire or play around with knots? The parcel hook has got you covered. 3. This hook can save the day with those stubborn zippers, like the ones on your luggage. 4. It's great for pretending to be a budget version of Captain Hook. If you know more applications, let me know in the comments. Apple users, with this feature, you'll never get laundry surprises again. Now, I bet you've had this situation at least once in your life. You wash your stuff, and when you take it out of the washing machine, the size seems to only fit your cat. Your iPhone camera can actually translate those funky laundry symbols for you. There are 2 requirements though. You must have iOS 17, and your phone must be in English. Take a photo of the care label, go to the Photos app, and see the details of the image. Everything will be automatically decoded and explained to you. Now, many toasters come with nifty removable crumb trays at the bottom. It's super important to give these trays a good clean every now and then to keep your toaster running smoothly and avoid any potential fire hazards. Just pop them out, shake out the crumbs, and you're good to go. Where you shake them out is up to you. Those little compartments on your gas pump aren't just for show. They're actually there to hold your cap while you're filling up. This nifty feature keeps things tidy and prevents any spills or drips on the handle. So, say goodbye to messy refueling experiences and hello to a cleaner pump. Plus, it makes the whole process way more convenient and efficient. Now, I'll bet your oven gets so greasy and dirty sometimes that you can even hear it oink. Just kidding. I know you're a tidy person. Anyway, if you're looking for a way to bring your kitchen cleaning to a whole new level, here's a tip for you. Most oven doors have handy latches that let you pop the door off for easy cleaning, saving your poor back from the strain. When you're draining noodles or potatoes, there's no need to bother transferring everything to a colander in the sink. Just throw the colander right into the pot, hold it down, and pour the liquid out. It makes life so much easier, especially when you want to save that starchy water for recipes. It's a must for authentic pasta, by the way. So let's say you've snagged this gem at a thrift store a while back for just under $1. It's seen better days, serving as an ashtray, but you decide it's time to give it a new lease on life. Here's the lowdown on how to make it shine again. Mix up a solution of boiling water, baking soda, and table salt in a bowl lined with aluminum foil. Let the piece soak for about 15 minutes and repeat this process 3 times. In between soaks, gently scrub any rough spots with a microfiber cloth. After the final soak, dry the piece off and rub on some toothpaste, baking soda, and peroxide. Buff out any remaining tarnish with a clean, dry microfiber cloth. Rinse it off, and now your piece is practically gleaming like a mirror. These aluminum foil boxes have nifty little tabs on the sides that make it super easy to grab a sheet without any hassle. It's like a fancy little bonus that makes the product a breeze and ensures you'll have a smooth sailing experience every time. Manual can openers often come with a handy built-in feature, also known as a bottle opener. It's like getting 2 tools in one. But did you know that this bottle opener actually has another useful function? It can help you loosen those stubborn, hard-to-open jars. Simply lift the lid slightly at a couple of points with the bottle opener, and then watch it as it effortlessly twists right off. Yeah! Okay, I just found that, apparently, you're supposed to save the first and last slices of a loaf of sliced bread for last. It's like a bread hack or something. Apparently, those end pieces help keep the rest of the bread fresher for longer, and you shouldn't eat them until you've devoured the rest of the loaf. So, next time you're making a sandwich, save those heel slices for the very end. Even bread eating needs a good strategy. Now look at those blue levers on the top rack of your dishwasher. I was curious about them too, and it turns out they're actually water bottle sprayers. They help to ensure that your bottles get a thorough cleaning and rinse during the wash cycle. Many vegetable peelers have those little scoops on top for taking out the eyes from potatoes. And here's a cool tip. You can actually use vegetable peelers in both directions to peel faster. But most people just stick to one direction. When using yellow mustard, make sure to push the lid of the bottle all the way open until you hear a satisfying click. This way the lid will stay securely in place and won't get in the way when you're dispensing the mustard onto your food. It's a simple step that can make your condiment experience hassle-free and enjoyable. So there. You know that little hole at the end of your pot or pan? Well, it's not just for show. You can actually use it as a handy holder for your forks and spoons. Next time you're cooking up a storm in the kitchen, just pop your utensils in that convenient little hole and keep them close at hand. Okay, just a heads up to remember to switch the direction of your ceiling fan for the changing weather, and to give it a good clean too. I've seen that a lot of folks found it helpful before to reverse the fan's direction by flipping a switch for different seasons. So this is just a friendly reminder to go ahead and do it again, pushing hot air down and pulling cold air up. When you're chowing down for some pizza, just tear off the top of the box and use it as a big old plate. You can even rip the box in half and fold it to save some leftovers for later. Well, that's it for today. What, you want to know more cool facts? Sure, but you'll have to subscribe and hit the bell to get more videos. I'm waiting. Go ahead. You know how they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do? Meaning, in Rome, you need to make sure your goldfish has a deluxe bowl to live in. In Nigeria, don't you dare to bring your own wheelbarrow. And perish the thought of adding as much mayo as you want to your dish when you're in France. Yep, bans around the world may be surprising, to say the least. Number 1. You will never see a good old doorknob in Vancouver, Canada. Some time ago, the city changed its building code to require the use of cool and sleek door levers instead. This change is all about making buildings more accessible and easier to use. Not only new buildings are getting a new makeover, even Vancouver's historic City Hall had its fancy Art Deco doorknobs replaced with shiny gold levers. But it's not that you can't legally have it in your house. There isn't a team of doorknob police coming to your house to confiscate your knobs. You can keep them as long as you like. Number 2 comes with a GeoGuessr tip for y'all. If you see this chair in the picture, it means it's 100% not in Basel, Switzerland. It's called a monoblock chair, and it's special. You see, most objects give away clues about when and where they're from, like the shape of electrical outlets or the labels on your shampoo bottle. But the monoblock is context-free. Some people call them one of the world's most perfectly designed objects, while others say the homogeneous nature of the chair is disturbing and the real evil of globalization. But why is it banned in Basel? Turns out the authorities just want the city to be pretty, and the chair design isn't to their liking. Right, if you want to keep one in your backyard, feel free. But they've been a big no in public spaces since 2008. 3. If you were ever thinking of bringing a wheelbarrow to Nigeria, I've got some news for you. Don't even try. Should you need it for some reason during your stay in Nigeria, just buy one there when you arrive. The authorities won't let you bring your imported wheelbarrow across the border. Why? Well, they're all about supporting their own manufacturing industry, so they want to give their local wheelbarrow makers a chance to shine. At number 4, we've got China, where the authorities decided to put a stop to time travel. Wait a minute, it's not what you think. No time travel machine has been invented. The ban is on TV shows and movies. By the way, it's not something new. The law was introduced in the early 2010s. Apparently, the big shots in charge want to keep things real and are not too keen on distorting historical events. They say some scripts are getting a bit too wild, making up myths, promoting superstition, and disrespecting the country's past. 5. Coffee pods. They've become super popular because they make brewing coffee so easy. But Hamburg, Germany doesn't seem to be a fan of those pods. Around 8 years ago, they took a stand by banning plastic coffee pods from authorities' offices. These little pods are made of various materials, making recycling a real challenge. While it's true that these coffee capsules can create a lot of problems, they're still loved by many. In fact, they've become a big hit in the US and Europe, making up a chunk of the coffee market. Hamburg is hoping to lead the way in showing people just how wasteful these pods really are. Number 6. Chewing gum. It has been banned in Singapore since 1992. The ban was put in place to stop people from sticking gum in all sorts of weird places, like subway doors, lock cylinders, and elevator buttons. Yuck. But costly train shenanigans were the last straw for the authorities. The ban was put in place after some serious gum incidents on the Mass Rapid Transit or MRT trains in the late 80s. Some mischievous pranksters have been gumming up the works on MRT trains by sticking chewing gum on the door sensors. That caused a sticky situation and messed up train services. And there you have it, chewing gum got completely banned. Now, just a note here. Yep, these are gums prescribed for therapeutic or dental reasons. And yep, they're still allowed. Also, don't get this whole ban wrong. It's not illegal to chew gum in Singapore. So if you come there as a tourist, you can bring in a little gum for personal use if you're traveling. Just do not stick it under this nice park bench, okay? What will create you a ton of troubles, though, is importing and selling chewing gum. Iceland is number 7 in our ban hit parade. Back in 1994, Reykjavik was like, no dogs allowed. It wasn't because they were all about cats, it was to stop this nasty tapeworm from spreading. The disease was serious business, causing all sorts of health problems. But don't worry, dogs are cool now as long as they follow the rules. Nowadays in Reykjavik, it's all about the cats. They're everywhere, roaming the streets like they, own the place. You can't walk 2 steps without seeing a furry little friend begging for attention. These Reykjavik kitties are so popular that they even have their own Facebook page. People love them, and some even carry around treats just in case they come across a friendly feline. And since there aren't many threats to cats in Iceland, they're thriving. 8. The Philippines. Now this one is really weird. Singing My Way in karaoke bars is sort of banned in this country. This seemingly harmless song has been linked to some pretty serious consequences, like fistfights and even people's early demise. No one knows the exact number of lethal cases caused by this song, but there have been at least a handful of incidents in the last 10 years. The song's lyrics, which can come off as a bit arrogant and prideful, seem to rile people up when sung in a not-so-great way. This has led some karaoke bars to unofficially ban the song to prevent any craziness from breaking out. 9. Hey, have you heard about Japan's Metabo law? It's all about measuring waist sizes to tackle obesity. It was introduced in 2008, and the idea was that if companies and local authorities didn't meet the goals, they would face financial penalties. The Ministry of Health believed this campaign would help prevent various health conditions. So, every year, people aged 40 to 75 had to get their waist measured. Employers and local authorities needed to make sure at least 65% of people participated. The goal was to reduce Japan's obesity rates by 25% by 2015, and if they hadn't made it, they would have gotten slapped with a fine. Did it work? Well, in 2024, there are only 4.5% of people who reportedly have weight issues in Japan. Number 10, and we're back to Canada. So if you catch someone in there counting out pennies in line, you can totally have some fun with them, legally speaking, of course. According to the Canadian Currency Act, there's a limit to the number of pennies you can use in a transaction, 25 to be exact. So, if someone tries using 26 coins, you can play sheriff and send them to coin jail. Snatch up their pennies as evidence. Yeah. 11. A condiment-regulated country here. Apparently, in France, they're cracking down on condiments in public schools. They're trying to make meals healthier for students. The rule is that you can't just go crazy with mayo, ketchup, and vinaigrette anymore. They have to be served according to the dish. Finally, Italy. In Rome, you can't keep your goldfish in a boring old glass bowl. Nope, that's considered cruel. because those little guys need their oxygen flow. Plus, if you keep them in a bowl for too long, they might go blind. Also, you can't give away goldfish as prizes. The law has a whole subsection about it. So if you're planning on bringing a goldfish home from your next trip to Rome, make sure you've got a fancy tank ready for them. And thank you for watching.
What's hiding inside Coca-Cola cans and regular household batteries? Why do magnets affect breakfast cereals? Do crosswalk buttons actually work, or are they just useless decorations? What does that USB symbol really mean? I'm not sure I know the answers to these and similar questions, but I'm eager to learn the truth together with you. Let's find it out. Coca-Cola cans have a secret few people know about. Here's a Coke can. Let's submerge it in a highly corrosive alkaline solution. The aluminum dissolves due to a process known as hydrolysis, and we can see a plastic liner inside the can. It's made from a polymer or epoxy resin and serves as some kind of a protective barrier between the aluminum walls of the can and the rather acidic soda. Despite a popular myth, household batteries don't actually contain liquid, and if you accidentally cut them open, no toxic liquid will spill. Most of them are dry cell batteries, which are made of electrochemical cells. Those convert chemical energy into electrical energy. Larger batteries often house numerous small cells within them too. Even Tesla vehicle batteries consist of multiple small cells. When combined, they easily provide the necessary voltage. Most toothbrushes have differently colored bristles, but they aren't just pleasing to the eye. Those bristles, often blue, have a functional purpose. They're called toothbrush indicators, and their colors fade as you use the brush. The American Dental Association recommends changing your toothbrush at least 4 times a year. And by getting paler, these bristles help you figure out when it's time to replace your toothbrush. You'll probably agree that there's no better snack than a pack of chips. Some are flat, others have ridges. Is it just aesthetics? Not really. The main purpose of those lines on some kinds of chips is to help with the distribution of spices and seasonings. In other words, all those substances that make your chips taste like cheese are mostly stored inside the lines. Plus, the lines make chips crunchier. Now this one might be a surprise, but some breakfast cereals are magnetic. That's because they're often fortified with iron in the form of a fine powder. Due to the added iron, cereal flakes get attracted to magnets. All this may sound kinda alarming, but in reality, the iron content in the flakes is minimal and doesn't pose any threat to your health. That clear fluid in gel pens is called the ink follower or stopper fluid. The gel in such pens contains pigment particles dissolved in a polymer solution. The main task of the stopper fluid is to be a barrier to prevent the gel from evaporating or leaking out. Without this transparent fluid, your gel pen wouldn't function. The fluid always stays in one position and doesn't get dissolved with the gel. Neither does it move backwards or flow out of the pen. Many pedestrian crosswalk buttons, namely in New York, are placebo buttons. They do literally nothing when you press them. Originally, they were functional after being introduced in 1964, but today, most of them don't affect traffic lights, which are programmed based on the real needs of the traffic flow. Why do such buttons even exist then? It's a simple psychological trick, providing you with an illusion of control. You might have noticed that movie theater seats are almost always red. This choice isn't random, it has strategic importance, which is rooted in visual science. The thing is, red light has a longer wavelength. It means that it's the first color to disappear in low light. It allows the audience to concentrate better on the screen once the movie begins. Such a design choice enhances the viewing experience by minimizing distractions. Speed bumps are crucial for pedestrian safety, but at the same time, they can seriously increase car emissions due to the non-stop acceleration and deceleration they cause. To address this issue, some cities, like London, are testing fake speed bumps. Those are optical illusions painted on the road. They look raised from a driver's perspective, but in reality, they're flat. Authorities hope that this approach will slow down drivers without having a negative impact on the environment. soda bottles are always filled in such a way that there's some space between the liquid and the cap. That's because soda contains carbon dioxide. It's a gas that can expand once the bottle's heated. If there's no gap in the bottle, it can break because of the pressure building inside. Also, when you open your drink, the gases go out in the form of bubbles, making the drink overflow. The gap helps with this problem too. The USB symbol, looking like a trident, has always sparked multiple speculations about its origin. One popular idea is that it represents Neptune's trident and symbolizes power and adaptability. But there's also a little bit less exciting theory. A man who claimed to have designed the symbol in the 1980s stated that it was supposed to represent connectivity. The large circle symbolizes a computer, while the attached shapes, the circle, the triangle, and square, stand for different outputs. The design of a tennis racket has a specific feature known as the throat. It's an open space below the head of the racket. This space isn't just for storing balls, it also improves the racket's aerodynamics by letting air pass through. It seriously reduces drag during swings. Speaking of tennis courts are usually built with a north-south orientation. It helps minimize the impact of the sun's position during the game, ensuring that neither player has the sun directly in their eyes. Look closely at a tram's overhead lines, and you'll see that its contact wires zigzag back and forth instead of going in a straight line. That's because all trams have pantographs attached to their roofs. The upper part of the pantograph is gradually worn down by the overhead wire and eventually needs to be replaced. To wear it down evenly, the wire is not installed strictly along the tram's path, but in zigzag patterns. As the tram moves, the pantograph slides along the wire, and it wears down evenly. Those cone-shaped water cooler cups? Their shape is intentionally designed to prevent users from setting the cups down. This allows employees to minimize the risk of spilling water on their desks around various electronic devices. Plus, less material is used to produce cone-shaped cups, which makes the process less wasteful and more cost-effective. It also kinda supports sustainability by encouraging people to drink their water quickly and dispose of their cups immediately after. Most suitcases have two zipper pulls, and it serves several purposes. First of all, if one zipper fails, the other can keep the suitcase closed. Even better, having two zippers allows you to have easier access to small sections of your suitcase without having to open it entirely. And finally, when you have two zippers, you can connect them with a padlock for increased security. Some plastic milk containers have dents on their sides. These dents serve several purposes. When milk spoils, it usually causes swelling and high-pressure buildup inside the container. That's when the dent pops out and doesn't let the jug blow up. Plus, if you decide to freeze the milk, it will expand like any other fluid. And then again, the indentation will pop out and prevent the container from breaking inside your freezer. If you ever had a problem figuring out why fake pockets exist, you need to hear this. The main reason is that if a clothing item has a specific cut or shape, pockets may spoil it. They can alter the item's shape either in the warehouse or already on the retail rack. The solution? Getting rid of the pockets in key areas. Plus, fake pockets are obviously cheaper, and they don't get stretched out. The thermos wasn't actually invented to keep your coffee warm. It was made by a Scottish scientist who wanted a safe place to keep his chemicals at a stable temperature. So, he took two bottles, put the smaller one inside the bigger bottle, and vacuumed out the air between them. There are some inventions that make us say, "Dude, why didn't I come up with this?" And then you have the next question. Why don't we have it in my hometown yet? I'm talking about things like splash-proof toilets, liquid trees, and skyscrapers with slides. Yep, they're all pretty real, and you're about to fall in love with them. Have you ever used a public bathroom in the summer in your shorts and sandals and got splashed? It happens to the best of us, so no worries. If only there was some solution to this problem. Perhaps a urinal with a small hole so no liquid goes where it shouldn't. Looks pretty yucky and painful to me. An assistant professor at the University of Waterloo, Zhao Pen, and his colleagues came up with a way better solution for this sensitive issue. Their designs were inspired by physics and dogs. When a stream of liquid moves on a solid surface at a shallow angle, the splash is reduced, and the smaller the angle, the fewer splashes you'll see. You can even minimize them to a zero. And when dogs do their business, they lift their hind legs and do it on the vertical surface of a tree or a wall. I don't know if they actually care about it, but this does reduce the splash. Good job, Pluto! The team invented several models and presented them at the American Physical Society conference, and it was a hit. The inventors say that all of the models are no splash, but their favorites are the slice of apple and the one that looks like a tall and slender J with a narrow and long opening. The new urinals aren't just super cool, but also more sustainable. You won't have to wash the floor with water, chemicals, and human energy after every use, which is a win-win. Here's another innovative public toilet idea for you, this time from Japan. They have completely transparent walls, which means, yes, you can see everything that's going on inside, from the toilet itself to the hand wash sink. It sounds pretty creepy, but the idea was actually to create a safe restroom in the park. Visitors can see if there's someone hiding inside before entering, and also check if the toilet is clean before entering. When you go inside and lock the door, the walls change color to opaque, and no one will be able to see you. They used glass covered with PDLC film to make the walls, which allowed them to go from being transparent to safely intense using electricity. Alright, now you've nearly convinced me to try one of those magical toilets. Oh, and they also double as excellent lanterns in the dark, shining bright in different colors. Bring a couple to my local park, I don't mind. Take a deep breath. If you don't like what you're breathing in, do something about it. That must have been exactly what the smart guys at the University of Belgrade, Serbia thought and invented the Liquid Tree. The Liquid 3, not the pun and laugh a bit, consists of a glass tank filled with over 150 gallons of water, some microalgae, and a solar panel which provides electricity to a small pump. The microalgae need heating, so just in case there's no sun and the temperatures drop, the photobioreactor is also connected to the city grid. Microalgae work hard to do some photosynthesis magic and convert water and CO2 into oxygen, and then it goes into the atmosphere. The Liquid Tree also comes with a bench to sit on and enjoy its work. The Liquid 3 needs more work than a regular tree in the park. They need to replace the water and microalgae almost completely every month and a half. And they also need to take out the biomass that is the byproduct of the process, and let's admit, nothing can replace those blooming babes in spring. If you ever find yourself casually wandering in the forests of Estonia, don't freak out if you see some giant megaphones. These wooden acoustic giants were set 3 hours away from the country's capital by interior architecture students. That's way cooler than the hamster roller coaster I once built for a science fair, I have to admit. More than half of Estonia is covered by woods, and they're pretty proud of this natural wealth. So it's not the first art project of this kind, and there was a winding, elevated pathway and a faceted woodland cabin. The idea of the megaphones is to crank up the natural sounds of a forest and also to serve as a rest spot for hikers. These wooden beauties are large enough to host several people. And hey, if you walk this far into the woodland, you'll be thankful for this. The students were given a task to invent some concepts of a forest library. They built the megaphones off-site and brought them to their permanent spots. They're set in such a way that sounds from 3 directions meet in the center and create a cool, natural surround sound effect. Have you ever helped your friends move into a new apartment in a building without an elevator? Then you're gonna love this one. Houses in Amsterdam have hooks on top. This is a medieval invention for pulling stuff up the houses. The simple tech consisting of a wheel and a rope still functions now, centuries later. Why not just use the stairs? Well, if you get inside one of those narrow Amsterdam buildings, you'll see there's hardly enough room to comfortably ascend, and you can forget about even trying to pull a table on top. Back in the medieval ages, pretty much like now, only rich people could afford housing around the canals in the best parts of the city. Those people were mostly traders and used the canals for their business. They stored goods in the same houses they lived in, and with regular floods, they had to find a way to keep the goods dry. And that's why they needed to invent something to lift furniture, goods, boxes, instruments, and food on the upper floors, and pull it in through fully open, wide windows. The lifting tech is one of the reasons the houses in Amsterdam are leaning forward. This position helped keep both the lifted stuff and the walls and windows safe during transportation. They didn't have to touch each other. The gables also assisted in the process and had to be made firm to withstand all the heavy weight. And in case you're wondering what gables are, they're sections of wall between the edges of a dual-pitched roof, typical for Amsterdam. Folks who live or work in skyscrapers have the opposite problem. Getting out of the building can take a while as you wait in line for the elevator. A slide going from the top of a skyscraper could be a solution. In 2016, they added one outside of the US Bank Tower in Los Angeles at the height of 1,000 feet. The see-through slide, made of glass just 1 inch thick, was built to withstand hurricane-force winds and earthquakes. It was built to bring tourists to the building, though not for the convenience of office workers. And then they decided it wasn't such a great idea, so the slide was removed as part of the reconstruction of the building. A Hong Kong photographer and editor who became famous online went even wilder with his imagination and designed a double-decker bus with a slide. It's not his only futuristic photography masterpiece, as he likes to play with perspective and proportions. I can totally see myself sliding away when someone asks me to pay for the ride.
Sometimes, when you type big text on your phone, it's pretty hard to get the cursor where it needs to be. You can control this little thing using your spacebar. Simply hard press the spacebar and now you can move the cursor wherever it needs to go. Voila! You can get bite-sized pineapple pieces without using a knife. At least that's what this viral TikTok tip is promising. First of all, twist off the top of the pineapple, that part which has green leaves. It's pretty easy. Just grab it and make several twists. Then pick the pineapple up and pound it down on the kitchen table. Repeat the pounding for about 5 times to make sure you did it sufficiently. Now you're going to need some arm strength. Roll the pineapple back and forth while pressing down on it. The weight is supposed to help separate the core from the fruit. But beware, if your pineapple is very ripe, it might start to release juice. Now, gently hold the pineapple skin, pull out one of its scales and enjoy your snack. If you've done everything right, you're supposed to be able to pull out a bite-sized piece that will separate from the core quickly. Here's another game-changing tip for your kitchen. Get a habit of storing the cling wrap in the freezer. When the wrap is cold, it's less sticky and much easier to unroll and use. You're welcome. We usually place these non-slip bathtub mats on the bathtub surface to prevent falls. But when you're not using the bathroom, you can stick or hang them on the wall. This way, the mat will get dry way faster and you'll prevent the accumulation of soap and dirt leftovers on the bottom of the bathtub or shower. Gather your shower curtain into a single bundle and tie it into a big knot. This way, it won't create obstacles when trying to clean the bathtub. Remember those mysterious stripes on bathroom towels? It's not just a decoration. It's a stabilizer strip to help the towel last longer. Stripes help keep the towels fluffy by limiting the shrinkage every time you wash them. Therefore, the towel retains its shape, size, and flexibility over time. They're also handy when you need to dry and clean a narrow and hard-to-reach place where the thick part doesn't work because it's too fluffy. For example, the space between your toes or behind your ears. Also, the stripes help to sort towels by type. Otherwise, all the towels of the same color and texture would look alike. You can see the stripes when you fold the towels properly, so it's easier to differentiate. This way you can keep all the towels together in a linen closet. Your family members will never confuse their own towels with someone else's. Are you sure you know how to use this flat paper box with matches? You just have to take a match and slide it across the striking surface, right? Turns out there's another way. Put the matchstick head on the striking surface, close the box and pinch it. Then pull the match out with one quick and confident movement, and it should light up. By the way, when you light up a matchstick or a candle in a dark room, the flames don't have shadows. Did you know that? The circle on the plastic jug of milk can tell you if the milk is good or bad. So when the circle is inside, take this as a good sign. And when it pops out, it means that the milk is expired. Also, the circle helps to keep the jug from blowing up if you drop it. When it hits the ground or any other surface, the ring will expand to keep the milk inside the plastic. And if you leave milk in the fridge for too long, it will develop gases. In this case, the circle will prevent the jug from popping inside the fridge. When it comes to plastic bags with frozen food, we usually cut off a strip from the top to open the package, but you don't have to throw the strip in the trash right away. You can tie the bag with the remaining food and put it back in the freezer. Let's say you're driving a car through the night. Suddenly, some annoying driver behind you with the brights on gets closer and spoils the party. You can flip this little tab on your rearview mirror and make the bright lights fade away. In fact, this little mirror that looks flat is a so-called prismatic wedge. What looks flat is an angled mirror with a wedge of glass. When you switch the mirror to dim mode, you change the angle of the mirror so it reflects more light. Here's a cool safety tip when you have to park your car at some risky spot at night. Pull out the driver's seatbelt, put it through the door handle, and fasten the belt as usual. This way, you'll ensure that nobody can get in during the night. Even if they succeed in getting the door unlocked, they still won't be able to come in. If your car got frozen on a cold winter night and the glass is covered with ice, you can clean it using the following tip. You don't need any special cleaning brush. Just fill a big sealable plastic bag with hot water and wipe the bag over the car to defrost the ice. Now, wipe off the remaining water with a rag and you're ready to hit the road. Everyone knows how to hang a sweater, right? Well, there's a better way that helps avoid the shoulder pimples that arise when the hanger doesn't fit your clothes perfectly. Put your sweater flat on your bed and fold it in half, like this. Then place the hanger on the sweater on a diagonal like this. Remember that the hanger hook should be under the arm. Now, grab the arms and fold them across the hanger. And then hold the body of the sweater and fold it across in the same manner. Congratulations! Now you know the perfect way to hang your sweater. If you're out of staples, you can just turn your stapler over, and there's a secret little compartment where you can put a whole row of extra staples. And now you can just conveniently put it into your stapler and go on with your work. There's a big chance that your oven door is removable. This way, you can clean it between the glass. Of course, the mechanism may differ depending on the model. So, first of all, check the lower corners of the door, and you'll probably find 2 screws that will help you lift the door up and then put it back where it belongs. Here's a hilarious tip for peeling boiled chicken eggs. Remove some shells from the top of the egg, about the size of a small coin. Then break up the bottom of the egg, and now blow into the top hole as if you're blowing a balloon. The peeled egg should pop out of the bottom. Just make sure the eggs are hard-boiled. If you have a basic electric screwdriver, you can order special brush heads. Your cleaning routine will never be the same again. This device will help you quickly and easily clean the dirtiest tiles and gaps between them. Just spray some bath cleaner and let your screwdriver brush remove all the impurities. Although this simple tip is very satisfying, some say that the sound evokes memories of dentists and ultrasonic dental cleaning.
Can you believe it? There are 2 different ways to drink juice from a juice box. The first way is the default one. and the second is to flip the straw over so that its shorter side sits at the bottom of the box. Using the first method, you may have difficulty getting the last sips of liquid because the straw can't reach all the corners properly. Some straws have their bottom corner sharper than the top. It's deliberately designed that way to pierce through the seal. That's why some people believe the right way to drink juice is the conventional one. Now let's continue with straws. Do you know there's a correct way to use a straw while drinking from a can of soda? So, you're about to have some Coke. You pop the tab open, then you put a straw in the can. Now you need to make a constant effort to keep the straw steady. See this hole in the top? Yeah! Turn the pop tab around and put your straw through the hole. It'll serve as a straw holder. No need to be annoyed by the tipping straw. So, what's the best way to eat a cupcake? Turn it into a sandwich. Step 1. Peel off the paper wrapped around the cupcake. Step 2. Carefully divide the cake into 2 parts. Step 3. Put the bottom side of the cupcake on top of the frosting. This is how you eat a cupcake like a pro. Okay, another quick word about cakes. People generally use kitchen knives to cut cakes into 2 parts. But you can use dental floss. Take a piece of floss and wrap it around the cake horizontally. Hold the ends tight with both hands and pull them in opposite directions. There you go! Now you have an evenly cut cake. Smooth, huh? You can use floss to cut through a cake vertically, too. This way, you'll reduce the chance of messing up the frosting. Do you use your fingers to dip your Oreos in milk? Try using a fork. Stick it between the wafers vertically and dip the cookie in milk. Well, you try it. I'm sticking with my fingers. Been doing it all my life. Hey, call me a rebel. You put your food in the microwave. The plate is hot and the upper part of the dish is steaming. You start eating. Oh no, not again. Your meal hasn't heated evenly. If you want your dish to be equally warm, arrange it in a donut shape and leave an empty spot in the center. The middle part of your dish takes longer to heat up. By the time the center warms up, the edges might be overheated. Sometimes you need to microwave 2 bowls of food at the same time. In this case, you can try placing the second bowl on top of a cup. This will give you a free space for the second bowl. Creative solutions for small microwaves. Now, better to secure the cup first though. Cleaning the splashed food will take more time than using this method. To save space, you should roll your clothes instead of folding them when packing. They don't get creased when you roll them. Plus, they take less space this way. Okay, we might as well continue with another packing trick. After rolling your clothes, pack them in your suitcase vertically, not horizontally. Your clothes will fit better into the bag, and you'll have more room for other essential stuff. Drinking iced coffee is a great way to cool your body on a summer day. Sadly, the ice cubes start to dilute the coffee pretty soon, changing the taste of the drink. To avoid this, you can freeze some coffee into ice cubes beforehand. This way, your iced coffee won't get watered down. It turns out that taking a shower too often isn't good for your hair. Experts say you should wash your hair 2 to 3 times a week because overwashing can result in extra oil in your hair. Do you know there's a correct way to fit salami on a toast properly? Yeah, there's a geometry problem. Toast bread is square, but salami is mostly round. You can, of course, do it in a traditional way, by putting 2 slices next to each other. But then the edges of your sandwich won't have any filling. All you need to do is to cut the slices in half. Next, you line the straight pieces with the sides of the toast. You get 4 slices covering the entire piece of bread. Most people peel bananas starting from the top, but this way, you squeeze the fruit. The best way to peel a banana is to start from the bottom. Hey, take a closer look at monkeys. Apparently, they figured this out a long time ago. Do you want to have more space in the closet where you store your cleaning supplies? Then this one is for you. You can hang spray bottles on a clothing rod. It's convenient. You can find those rods online or in stores. This way, you'll keep your cleaning sprays organized. Also, this method leaves more cupboard space for other cleaning supplies. There's a right way to hold a burger. Grab it with both hands. Now, place your little fingers at the bottom next to your thumb for extra support. You want to cross out miswritten words? You can draw a line on top of them, but in most cases, you can still read the words. Instead of scribbling some lines, just write a bunch of random letters on the top of the word you want to cross out. Problem solved. What is the best way to cut crusty bread? By turning the loaf upside down. The underside of the bread is usually softer than the top, but try not to squeeze the bread too much. The traditional way to drain pasta is to place the colander in the sink. After that, you drain the water and put your pasta back in the pan. But this method isn't the most effective. Sometimes, pasta gets into the holes of the colander. The second option is less difficult. Place the colander into the pot, and while holding them together, drain the water. This way, you don't have to move your pasta from the pot. This trick works best if your colander fits your pot. If you don't want to buy several colanders, you can still use this method, but you should be more careful during the draining process. Now, does your freezer ever spoil food? You put ready meals and groceries in the freezer. 2 weeks later, you'll open it only to find your food freezer burnt. There are 2 reasons for this. First, you stock your freezer with too much stuff. Overloading can block the vent. Then the air inside the freezer won't circulate properly. The second reason might be the wrong temperature. The recommended freezer temperature is 0 degrees Fahrenheit or a bit lower. Now, what's the best way to hold a steering wheel? Most people clutch it at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. This is not very safe, even if you have 3 arms. For those of us with just 2 arms, the proper way to grab the wheel is to put one hand at 3 o'clock and the other at 9 o'clock. It means placing your hands where the joints are, in case you need to give way to airbags. Holding the wheel differently prevents them from fully inflating. Toblerone is a fancy chocolate bar, but did you know there's a correct technique to break off pieces of this chocolate? Just push the triangle you want to separate toward the rest of the bar. Who would have thought? Pringles are another hard-to-eat but delicious thing. While trying to dig a piece out of the can, don't shove your whole hand in there. Instead, use a sheet of paper. Fold it lengthwise and slide it into the can. Then gently pull it out, together with Pringles. Now you have a tray of crispy goodness.
The Queen's Guard all appear to have the same uniform, with a shared role of standing stoically for a long time. But if you look closely at their hats, there are 5 different types. The Grenadier has a white plume, the Coldstream has a red one, the Irish a blue plume, the Welsh green and white, and the Scots Guard has none. Their different divisions perform similar ceremonial duties at Buckingham Palace. But they have other actual roles as well, suited to their specialization. When peeling your boiled eggs, you can see a hidden layer under the shell. These 2 membranes, an inner and outer one, are made from the same stuff as your hair, keratin. It protects the inside from bacteria and stops liquids from escaping. You use X in your text, which represents a kiss. It's been used this way for a very long time. Its original purpose dates back to the Middle Ages, where it was a representation of a person's faith, honesty, and sincerity. Those that would sign off with an X would kiss it after signing as a display of a sworn oath. The X's meaning later changed to represent the action of kissing. And the first document showing this was a letter dating back to 1763, written by a naturalist, Gilbert White, who sent it to his wife. William Shakespeare is a name familiar to everyone. However, we don't know whether this was the actual way his name was spelled, and neither did he. He signed 80 different variations of his name spelling on all his works. Historians haven't a clue which the correct spelling is. The version that we know of was only used on 2 of his plays. Different forms of alarm clocks were invented as far back as 348 BCE, with many versions throughout the world, all with complicated mechanics. Unaffordable to mostly everyone, they didn't catch on. Alternate methods to wake up in the morning started to be used in the 1800s. One process involving knocker-uppers was common in some countries. A person visited your house every morning to knock on your door 4 times. Inventor Antoine Redier felt that he should be woken only when he felt it necessary. So, in 1847, he invented the first adjustable alarm clock. Tennis balls in Wimbledon must be kept at a perfect temperature to ensure they bounce at a consistent level. They're stored at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, so they're cold enough that the molecules inside the ball shrink, ensuring they bounce lower. Then, they're continuously swapped throughout a match as they expand by being hit too much, becoming too bouncy. Wimbledon goes through 50,000 tennis balls each year. You enjoy the smell of a freshly mowed lawn, as you associate it with the weekends and summer. But that smell is a sign of stress made by the grass. Grass evolved to emit various elements when being eaten by bugs. This signal attracts predator insects to remove them. But unfortunately for the grass, there's nothing large enough to deter a lawnmower. There is no oxygen inside your packet of chips. If there was, it would influence the combination of molecules forming inside, spoiling the chips faster. The packets are instead filled with nitrogen, which pushes oxygen out. And this extends the shelf life and quality of your chips. You're traveling by plane overnight and just can't get to sleep. And the first night in a hotel wasn't great, regardless of how comfy the bed was. This is because of a human evolutionary trait called the first night effect. When you sleep in a different place than your home, the left side of the brain responds to more sounds while you're asleep. It continues to analyze your surroundings without you realizing, acting as though it's on a night watch and keeping you alert for any potential dangers. Most animals have this trait, although it's a lot more subtle in humans. But it's still effective enough to make sure you get your peanuts. Before playing basketball with hoops, you would have instead been playing with peach baskets. When the game was invented in 1891, a peach basket was used, with the bottom of it cut off. But it only took 15 years for players to grow tired of constantly collecting the jammed balls and to remove the basket altogether. When you click your fingers, the snapping sound isn't from the physical click of finger and thumb. The noise actually comes from the finger hitting the palm. The instant film for the first Polaroid cameras didn't have their own coating after taking a photo. To develop it, you applied it yourself. Waiting for it to dry took a long time, so shaking it sped up the process. Then, from the 1970s, the film provided everything required for the photo to develop, making the popular craze of shaking Polaroids pointless. Shaking the photo can cause the ink to wave or blur before drying properly, so you shouldn't actually shake it like a Polaroid picture. And just wait patiently instead. Bug spray doesn't repel all bugs, especially the worst of them all, mosquitoes. It does cover the scent of carbon dioxide, which is what attracts mosquitoes. But the spray only protects you for a short distance. Mosquitoes can also track carbon dioxide over long distances. They will continue to stalk you until they find a gap in your invisible bug shield. A great alternative is lavender, which contains linalool. This fragrance completely overloads the mosquito's senses, making it unable to track you. The half belt on the back of some jackets appear like a fashion accessory. It was initially designed that way for larger jackets, as they could also be used as a blanket to wrap around oneself. The belt's position helps hold the material together, so it's easier to walk with whilst keeping you warm. Ketchup wasn't originally intended to be your favorite condiment. In 1834, a physician, John Cook, sold ketchup as a cure for indigestion. It was an immediate hit, and today, 10 billion ounces are purchased annually in the USA, although not as the intended medicine. Thomas Edison made over 1,000 inventions, and one in particular, the light bulb, is most famously linked to him. However, he didn't actually invent it. Warren De La Rue, a British chemist, had solved this scientific challenge 40 years earlier. There were also 20 other inventors who made alternate versions before Edison did. But earlier varieties relied on cotton thread and only lasted up to 14 hours. Edison, in 1880, used a carbonized bamboo thread instead, and his worked up to 1,200 hours. It became the most commercially viable light bulb, and today's ones are similarly shaped to Edison's original. The first treadmill was used in England in 1818. It was a large wooden cylinder with a handrail, although it wasn't used to keep fit. Convicted criminals would be forced to use these for up to 10 hours per day as a punishment. The energy output potential was realized, and soon it was built to work with water pumps and grain grinders. It was so effective that it was used in all prisons throughout the country. But in 1902, it was decided that it was too harsh and stopped. And now, this cruel punishment is mainly found in gyms. During the 1940s, there was a shortage of cocoa, and it was important to find a solution to this problem. A production company found a way by mixing only a small amount of cocoa with hazelnuts and milk, and the original Nutella was created. It started out as a loaf spread, like a stick of butter. It then transformed into a creamier version inside a jar in 1951, but it wasn't until 1964 that it was given its famous name. Your passport might be a dark shade of either green, blue, or red. The darker color not only makes them appear more official, but is intended so that through its journeys, the dirt that's collected is more easily hidden. Wasabi was first used back in the 8th century. It wasn't meant as a spicy condiment as it's served with sushi today. Initially, it was used for its antimicrobial properties that help avoid the harmful reactions to fish with sushi that's a bit too old. Pockets are usually on the left side of shirts because most people are right-handed. Is this a myth or a fact? This is actually true. Many products favor the righties. Left-handed people will relate to this on so many levels. Let's say public transport. Have you ever noticed that the scanner at stations is typically on the right side? Household equipment and devices are one more example. Scissors, tweezers, bottle openers, and many other kitchen and household appliances are designed with right-handed people in mind. The same goes for shirt pockets. While some people use both hands equally and others change their hand preference between tasks, overall, most people are right-handed. A study has revealed that 75% to 90% of the world's population are right-handed and 10% are left-handed. This means it's more convenient for most people to have pockets on the left side than on the right side of their garments. Try it out for yourself. Your elbow kind of folds when you try to reach into the pocket on the right side. Whereas on the left side, your elbow makes an arc shape, which makes it easier to put things inside the pocket and take them out. Eating more protein leads to having bigger muscles. What do you think about this, bodybuilders? Myth or fact? This is a myth. It's true that eating protein is essential for building bigger muscles. Proteins are building blocks of your body, and yet, eating more than you need is unnecessary. Everyone should drink 8 glasses of water a day. Do you think this is a myth or a fact? This is a myth, so don't blame yourself for drinking less water than recommended. 8 glasses are not a magic number. Hydration needs differ from one person to another. How much water you should drink every day depends on your activity and exercise level. The temperature of the place where you live affects this number too. If you live in a hot area, you sweat more and need to drink more water. Soup, coffee, tea, fruits, and other things you eat daily also contain water. Carrots are high in sugar, so you should avoid eating them. If this is true, we should warn bunnies. Any guesses? Fact or myth? It's a myth. Carrots are about 85% water. 1 pound of cooked carrots only contains 3 teaspoons of sugar. Compared to the amount of sugar in desserts, this is nothing. Plus, carrots are high in phytochemicals, and eating them can help lower blood sugar. Medieval people believed in flat Earth. Is this a myth or a fact? Obviously, flat Earth is a myth. But so is the history built around this myth. You can't say that at those times. The whole world was skeptical about Earth's spherical shape. Even everyday visible things prove that. For example, medieval people could see that the twilight glow during sunrise and sunset formed an arc over the horizon. Vikings wore horned helmets. Is this a myth or fact? The well-known image of a Viking warrior is almost always completed with a horned helmet, but in reality, there were no horns. There's no evidence that Viking helmets were horned. Detox juices cleanse your body. Is this a fact or myth? It's a myth. Detoxification doesn't work that way. Your internal organs are responsible for the process of cleansing: the spleen, liver, kidneys, especially the liver. Your body is always in a natural state of cleansing itself. A person doesn't need to drink juices for detoxification. Nuts are junk food. Any thoughts? Myth or fact? You're right, this is a myth. Nuts are full of healthy fats. They're good for your heart and other organs. The average American throws away about 82 pounds of textile waste per year. Is this a fact or myth? Fact! Imagine all that waste. When someone throws their clothes away, they don't disappear into thin air. These items most likely reach landfills as their final destination. Donating clothes and selling them in second-hand stores are a much better option. Now, you've probably heard about life-saving laundry tricks that are said to make your clothes super clean and as good as they were on day one. What if those laundry tips are actually myths? I got 3 of them lined up for you. Shirts should be buttoned when you put them in the laundry. Is it true or not? This is a myth. You'd better keep zippers closed to keep their teeth from catching the fabric of other clothes. But fastening the buttons of a shirt can expand the button net and the buttonhole. In the long term, buttons will start slipping out of place. Washing clothes in hot water is the most effective way to clean them. Is this a myth or fact? That's another laundry myth. You want to rid your clothes of germs, yet hot water alone won't be enough for this. Nowadays, many detergents can clean clothes in cold or warm water. You should remove stains from the face of the fabric. Is it true? Most people apply water and soap to the stain, starting from the front side of the fabric, but that's not the best option. A much better way is to start from the back. The stain can go deeper if you treat it from the front. Try to make the stain move up to the surface rather than push it inside. Listening to music is an effective tool for learning languages. Is it a myth or fact? It's a fact. Scientists say listening to a song and humming along can help you learn a language. Most people struggle to learn grammar, yet in our daily lives, we don't always follow grammar rules. Songs can help you pick up informal expressions. Scientists have also concluded that music can help you remember new words and add them to your vocabulary. Let me give you an example. It's from your first year at school. Yep, the alphabet song. Are you a morning person or a night owl? Either way, you might want to know these facts and myths about sleep. The longest someone went without sleep was 11 days. Do you think this is possible, or is it an urban legend? This is a fact. Randy Gardner set the record for the longest amount of time a person went without sleep. It was an experiment carried out by Stanford sleep researcher Dr. William C. Dement. The doctor recorded and monitored Randy Gardner's sleep activity. Gardner managed to stay awake for 11 days and 25 minutes. Your body eventually gets used to getting less sleep. Myth or fact? It's a myth. There are many studies proving that your body and especially your brain can't get used to sleeping less. Have you noticed that after a few nights of insufficient sleep, you begin to feel groggier during the day? That's your body trying to adjust to not getting enough rest. Long-term sleep deprivation affects your daytime performance, focus, and decision-making. Many grown-ups need 5 or fewer hours of sleep. Can it be true? Well, this one's easy. It's a myth. Experts from the National Sleep Foundation recommend that the average adult sleeps 7 to 9 hours per night. Some people have a genetic mutation thanks to which they wake up refreshed after a short night's sleep, but such people are an exception. 1 in 4 million. The ability to fall asleep in any place and at any time means you're a good sleeper. What do you think? Myth or fact? It's a myth. A good sleeper gets a proper amount of sleep and has a regular sleep schedule. Cats spend 2/3 of their life asleep. Do you believe that? This will probably come as no surprise. It's a